रामानुजदयापात्रं ज्ञानवैराग्यभूषणं श्रीमद्वेङ्कटनाथार्यं वन्दे वेदान्तदेशिकं लक्ष्मीनाथसमारम्भां नाथयामुनमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोर्भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य चरणौ शरणं प्रपद्ये माता पिता युवतयस्तनया विभूतिः सर्वं यदेव नियमेन मदन्वयानाम् आद्यस्य नः कुलपतेर्वकुलाभिरामं श्रीमत्तदङ्घ्रियुगलं प्रणमामि मूर्ध्ना भूतं सरश्च महदाह्वयभट्टनाथ श्रीभक्तिसारकुलशेखरयोगिवाहान् भक्ताङ्घ्रिरेणुपरकालयतीन्द्रमिश्रान् श्रीमत्पराङ्कुशमुनिं प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैवं नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् व्यासं वसिष्ठनप्तारं शक्तेः पौत्रम् अकल्मषं पराशरात्मजं वन्दे शुकतातं तपोनिधिं व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मनिधये वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। अचतुर्वदनोर्ब्रह्मा द्विबाहुरपरो हरिः अफाललोचनः शम्भुः भगवान् बादरायणः पाराशर्यवचःसुधां सुमनसः दुग्धाब्धिमध्योद्धृतां संसाराग्निविदीपनव्यपगतप्राणात्मसञ्जीवनी पूर्वाचार्यसुरक्षितां बहुमतिं व्याघातदूरस्थिताम् आनीतां तु निजाक्षरैः सुमनसः भौमाः पिबन्त्वन्वहम् निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवत रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिकाः भुवि भावुकाः सान्द्रानन्दवबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावदिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनः उरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्त्वावत् भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्तभाग्यं जनानाम् अग्रे पश्यामि तेजो निबिडतरकला यावळी लोभनीयं पीयूषप्लवितोऽहं तदनु तदुतरे दिव्यकैशोरवेशं तारुण्यारम्भरम्यं परमसुखरसास्वाद रोमाञ्चिताङ्गैः आवीतं नारदाद्यै विलसदुपनिषत्सुन्दरीमण्डलैश्च बाहुद्वन्द्वेन रत्नोज्ज्वलवलयभृता शोणपाणिप्रवाळेनोपाता वेणुनाळी प्रसृतनखमयूकाङ्गुलीं सङ्गशारां कृत्वा वक्त्रारविन्दे सुमधुर विकसद् रागम् उद्भाव्यमानैः शब्दब्रह्मामृतैः त्वं शिशिरितभुवनैः सिञ्च सिञ्च मे कर्णवीथीं योगीन्द्राणां त्वदङ्गेष्वधिकसुमधुरं मुक्तिभाजां निवासो भक्तानां कामवर्षद्युतरुकिसलयं नाथ ते पादमूलं नित्यं चित्तस्थितं मे पवनपुरपते कृष्णा कारुण्य सिंधो Krishna Karunya Sindho Kritva Niseshatapan Pratishatu Paramananda Sandoha Lakshmi Ajñātvā te mahatvam yadiha nigaditam Vishwanatha kshametaha Stotram chaitat sahastrottaram adhikataram tvat prasadaya bhuyat Vedhanarayaniyam Shrutishu cha janusha stutyata varnanena Sphitam leelavatarairitamida kurutam Ayurarogya Saukyam Ayurarogya Saukyam Janaki Kanta Smaranam Gopika Jeevana Smaranam. With the benign grace, incessant grace of Paramatma, we have been able to relish, cherish, experience, and internalize the explanations as cited by Shuka Brahmam, the celebrated son to a celebrated father. So, Vyasa, there is a saying in Vishnu Puranam, Krishna Dvaipayanam Vyasam Vidhinarayanam Prabhum Kohyanyo Bhuvi Maitreya Mahabharata Kritbhavet. Parashara Maharshi tells his student Maitreya, who but my son Vyasa could create a magnum opus like Mahabharata. So what is so great in father saying this? Because Shastram says that the parents should never praise their children. It doesn't mean you have to do the contrary, you don't have to demotivate, abuse, nothing. But overpraising is not accepted in Shastram. Others should praise. Just because others are not praising, we should not end up praising our own children. So, if Parashara Maharshi goes tangential to the esoteric sayings where he praises his own son Vyasa, it means Vyasa has done so much good that the father is coaxed to say this. When Janaka gives his daughter Sita to Rama, he says, Yam Sita Mama Suta, my daughter. That my is so significant there. Because he was the one who said, the city may be burning. The possessions in the city could be burning, but none of it which burns is mine. Pradiptayam mithilayam namekinchit pradahyate. Nothing of mine burns, but that mine comes when he gives his daughter in marriage. He says Mama Suta, because Sita was so disciplined, cultured, extremely talented, very well beneficial to the society at large, that the father was coaxed to say Mama. So does Parashara say that Vedavyasa is so celebrated as a son of mine. Same is the case with Shuka Brahmam. So Shuka Brahmam's words in Srimad Bhagavatam, every word is nectar. There is, in fact, I've skipped all those portions in the Bhagavatha Mahatmyam. It seems Devas came and said, please, we will give you nectar, give us Bhagavatam in return. So that was the barter that used to happen with Srimad Bhagavatam. So we believe Vedokhilo Dharma Moolam. So our roots lie in the Vedas. But what lies below the ground is never seen. That is what it supports the tree. But it's never seen to the eye. But what is seen to the eye is the large trunk of the tree, the branches, and from the branches the leaves, and from the leaves the buds, the fruits, the flowers, the fruits. This is what is visible. So if at all Vedas are treated as the roots, and the tertiary roots are the Vedangas and Upangas, the trunk is the Upabrahmanam that branches into two. One is Srimad Ramayanam and the other is Sri Mahabharatam. It is called Upabrahmanam, that which takes you very close to Brahma. Then comes the 18 Puranas, the Agamas and the literature. So the essence of this tree came into the flower and the flower turned into a fruit. And that fruit was initially tasted by a parrot. And that fruit was Bhagavatam and the parrot was Shukabrahmam. Nigama kalpa taroho galitam phalam shukamukat amritadrava sanyutam pibata Bhagavata rasamalayam muraho rasikaha bhuvi bhavukaha. People in the Bay Area are extremely lucky. Shukabrahmam says, bhuvi bhavukaha. Yesterday, day 3, there was one portion where we had left an important portion in the Saptama Skandam, which is Sri Nrisimha Avataram. At the commencement, at about 7:10, I spoke about Chetana and Achetana. And I said, I will talk about this later. See, you all didn't remind me at all. I said, I'll talk about this later. Yesterday, I was a bit doubtful. After I went home, I didn't talk about this. So there is one portion. This is a bit of Vedanta. I am extremely sure that you won't leave halfway. With that sheer confidence, I'm speaking about Vedanta now. If you're bored, it will take about 10 minutes. You can relax, and then when the narration comes, you can take it. We speak about 2 types of knowledge in Vedanta. One is called Dharmi Jnanam. The second is called Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. I will ask these questions. You have to remember, write it down. Dharmi Jnanam, Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. Read it. So, what is Dharmi Jnanam? That knowledge which is responsible for reminding the Jivatma of its sheer presence, which is I. That I is one knowledge. See, when somebody asks us, it's an often quoted example. You slept well? We don't say well. We say, I slept well. So if you have slept, how do you know that I slept well? If you have slept well, somebody else should say, Nanna Tunginar. How will you know? Because even while you were sleeping well, the I did not sleep. That is why we say I, slept well. So slept well is the body. I did not sleep. So that I is what is being reminded to the Jivatma of its presence. I. That is the only job of that knowledge one. So that keeps reminding of the Jivatma of I alone. That is called Dharmi Jnanam. Then there is another knowledge. It is called Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. Vedanta Deshika gives an exquisite explanation to this in his magnum opus Rahasyatraya Saram. He says, Vishaya Prakashana Velaile Swashrayattukku Swayam Prakasham. What is this? What is this definition? When the Jnanendriya in the physical body comes in contact with an other object, this second knowledge gets ignited. For example, let us say I was born at the age of 2, my grandfather. Then he looks at a light and he teaches me, light. So as a child, my eye comes in contact with the light. It takes a photograph of it and sends it to my memory cell. And there it gets stored. That this is light. So you won't realize how much of thinking goes into it, into the brain. So the brain will say that these are the qualities associated with the light. He will not show me the light when it is not on. You're able to understand what I'm saying? He will switch it on and then say this is light. So the first attribute which my brain records, my brain records is, it has to emit light. The shape may be different. I could get different shapes, circular light, rectangular light. But the basic property, attribute, apritak siddha viseshanam is light. This light goes into my brain. Now next day when my mother shows a light which is not switched on, she says, where is light? I will keep looking because I can't see that light until she switches that on. Then later I will realize, so light can be switched on and off. These are the attributes that go. Now when I'm at the age of 3, I don't need my grandfather to tell me this is light. I will now tell my grandfather light. Why? Because my eye comes in contact with the light. It goes to the brain retrieves that data saying that in your recorded files, this matches with the light that you have understood at the age of 2. Tell your grandfather this is light. So I tell. Correct? But when I'm not looking at the light, my Jivatma will not keep thinking of the light. Light it won't. Only when the eye comes in contact with that object, that knowledge will get ignited. So that momentary knowledge, when one of the senses comes in contact with an external object, is called Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. So there are two knowledges, Dharmi and Dharma Bhuta. That is why in case some relative or friend of ours goes into coma, Dharmi Jnanam alone is active. Dharma Bhuta Jnanam is not active. That is why even if you stand before the patient who's physically that ill and you keep telling, you remember who I am, that person will not be able to tell, because there is no coordination between the eye and the brain to tell that data. But that Dharmi Jnanam is there. That is why the nurse has been appointed. Dharmi Jnanam alone is there. Dharma Bhuta Jnanam is not there. Why are you telling all this, sir? Wait. I spoke about two knowledges, Dharmi and Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. Dharma Bhuta Jnanam is attributive knowledge, which means, if I have to give I'll give you a simple example, you'll understand these two knowledges well. Have you heard of Mysore Pak? Now only the lecture has begun. Now, while making Mysore Pak, you have to take that basin flour, and then you'll have to take sugar. You have to take loads of ghee. You should not put ghee in this. You should add this to the ghee. And then you make Mysore Pak. Now there is a method of making Mysore Pak where you put sugar into the Mysore Pak and then stir it well and then put it onto a greased plate and then cut it into pieces. Some of them do something very unique. While the concoction is put into a plate, when it's not it should not be extremely hot. At one stage, you sprinkle sugar at the top. It should not be done when it's very hot, because it will completely melt. It should not be done when it's cold, because then the sugar won't stick. It has to be done at a stage where it wouldn't melt, but it has to stick. You're able to understand? The sugar within the Mysore Pak is not visible to the eye. It has dissolved within the Mysore Pak. That is Dharmi Jnanam. The sugar at the top, which is visible, attached, but it can be removed. That is Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. See, Mysore Pak is very helpful. Now, for a Jivatma, it is called Chetana because it is the substratum to Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. Because our Jivatma is the foundation for Dharma Bhuta Jnanam, we are called Chetana. For an Achetana Vastu, Dharma Bhuta Jnanam cannot attach itself because the base is not there. So for a Jivatma, it becomes a substratum to Dharma Bhuta Jnanam. That for which the Dharma Bhuta Jnanam doesn't have a substratum is called Achetana. Chetana, Achetana. Till this you have understood? Okay. Now Chetana is our Jivatma. If you understand, I'll just take 5 more minutes and then get into Gajendra Moksha. Only if you understand this will you be able to understand what I'm going to talk about Nrisimha Avataram, how it is connected. The Jivatma which is housed here for each of us. Okay. This Jivatma which is there in this body is a part, is integral to Paramatma. Now Paramatma and Jivatma have similarities. I don't know, all of you will be experts. You know, there's something called set theory in mathematics. We use Venn diagrams. Set A is Paramatma. Set B is Jivatma. Set A intersection B, where we have some common attributes between Jivatma and Paramatma. What is the most common attribute? Both have Chaitanyam, both have knowledge. He is super knowledge, we are normal knowledge. He is surf excel, we are surf. Now, both of us have knowledge in common. So, both of us are Chetana in a way. He is a Parama Chetana, we are Chetana. Now, this Parama Chetana and Chetana, what does it mean? From that Chetana, this Chetana has come. I am not talking about the birth, I am just saying there is an association. So in this world, we always associate the birth of a Chetana with another Chetana, which means if my body has Chetana Jivatma, it has come from my mother. My mother also has a Jivatma within her. So a Chetana Vastu gives rise to another Chetana Vastu. An Achetana Vastu gives rise to an Achetana. Iron, other metals you take, that will give rise to this mic. This mic is Achetana. The basic elements will also be Achetana. So Achetana gives rise to Achetana. Chetana gives rise to Chetana. But when we speak of the world, it has a combination of Achetana and Chetana. Who is responsible for both Achetana and Chetana? Paramatma. Who is he? Chetana. So if the formula is, be careful, Chetana gives rise to Chetana, like how my mother has given rise to me, and Achetana has given rise to Achetana, where the raw materials has given rise to this finished product, then how can Paramatma, who is also Chetana, give rise to both Chetana and Achetana? Don't worry. Some people take it very seriously. How it is given rise? This was a big question asked to Bhagavad Ramanuja during his times, 1000 years before. So he clarifies this in Sri Bhashyam. He says, not necessary that everything has to follow the general rule. There will be an exception to the general rule. In maths, we often use the L'Hopital rule. In mathematics, right? If 0 by 0 is indeterminate, we differentiate them in the numerator and denominator separately. Sin x will become cos x, x will become 1. So it will become cos 0, which is 1. So there is an exception to the general rule. So what Ramanuja says is, there are occasions where Chetana gives rise to an Achetana and Achetana gives rise to a Chetana. He gives two examples. One, let us take a scorpion. Generally, we have two categories in zoology. One is oviparous and the second is viviparous. For example, birds come from their mothers as eggs. An egg incubates and then hatches to a chick. So there is a two-stage process. From the mother, the chick doesn't come directly. There is an egg. And from the egg comes a chick. They are oviparous. We are all viviparous. Our mother did not lay eggs somewhere and then we did not incubate and come. We came directly from our mother's sac. But scorpions are ovoviviparous, wherein there is the little scorpion inside the egg, but the egg doesn't come out of the mother, it stays within the mother. So if the chick has to come out, the little scorpion has to come out, it has to break open the egg and it has to tear open the mother's body. So for that, the mother scorpion needs proper heat. But where will she go? A bird will supply heat to the egg. But here the egg is within her. So she needs external heat. So in those days when houses used to have cows in their backyard, there used to be a cow shed. And cows, very good to have cows. The only problem is they'll keep putting cow dung. So when the cow dung comes, it will be hot. So the mother scorpion would exactly know the strategic location where that cow dung will come. So it will go and settle itself there. Then when the cow dung falls on it, with the heat from the cow dung, it will use and the little scorpion will come out. So for the passerby or the onlooker, after some time he will see one Achetana Vastu called as the cow dung. And the little scorpion which is Chetana coming out of it. So there is an example in Pratyaksham to prove that Chetana comes rise of Achetana. On the other hand, when Narasimha deployed his nails, nails grow. There is some Chaitanyam is what we will believe. But science says it is a conglomeration of dead cells except the cuticle. So, Achetana, nail, comes rise of the Chaitanya body. So Nrisimha came out of the pillar. Nrisimha is Chetana coming out of the pillar which is Achetana. Nrisimha is Chetana and nail is Achetana. So Achetana to Chetana to Achetana, there is a cycle. So this proves that how much ever you try, we try. Like how Hiranyakashipu tried to win over death is not possible. Because nature will find its own way to get annihilated of a person. Nobody has You can say he is permanently lived. Even when the Lord chooses to be born as Rama and Krishna, he had to leave the world one day. So this is the message of Nrisimha. Now let's go to Gajendra Moksha. Parikshit asked, Badarayana yetatte shrotumicchamahe vayam hariryatha gajapatim grahagrastamamu chuchat tatkatha sumahat punyam dhanyam swastyayanam shubham yatra yattottama shloko bhagavan giyate harihi. Parikshit asked Shukabrahmam, I have heard about an elephant being caught in the jaws of a very ferocious crocodile. And I've heard from my ancestors that the Lord came on the eagle to help rescue that elephant from the jaws of the crocodile. Can you please narrate this to me? He asked. Incidentally, yesterday in the Twitter, I saw one of our Indian IFS officers who has posted a video. A small, I don't know how many of you saw, a small puddle. There, the little baby elephant goes to play with the waters. How many of you saw this? See, many of you have seen. Others, you can ask them, they will share. So this mother elephant comes and it tries to play with the baby in the waters. Suddenly, a crocodile which has been quietly hiding into the waters comes and it wants to kill this baby elephant. The mother elephant plays the role of a mother. She does everything to rescue the baby elephant and the crocodile runs away. So the climax of Gajendra Moksham did not happen there. But remember, this narration which Shukabrahmam gives is as if we are watching a National Geographic channel. And he tells how an animal kills the other animal. But where it turns into Bhagavatam, I will tell you in about 12 minutes from now. So here the description begins about, when it is poetry, they will get over poetic. They will talk about hills, 3 peaks, one like resembling gold, one resembling silver, all this. Because it's poetry, you have to describe and exaggerate. Otherwise, there is no poetry. If you say, speak the truth, narrate or say the way it is, then it is not poetry. I'll give you an example of poetry. During the times of Kalidasa, again this is an anecdote, the timelines could vary. During the times of Kalidasa, there were other great poets in Sanskritam. It is not that Kalidasa was the only poet. There were other great poets. But the newspapers used to cover good op-eds and nice articles only on Kalidasa. Other poets, they will cover small passages in page number 29. So one of the poets who was deeply affected because of this media attention on Kalidasa was Dandi. Dandi was a great poet. He got extremely upset. He said, Kalidasa, even I write good poems like you. Why should you alone be celebrated? Kalidasa said, I am not paying anything to the media. They are writing, what can I do? So then Dandi and Kalidasa thought that we should go and get the judgment from Bhavabhuti, another great poet. If he let him judge, who amongst us is the better poet? So Kalidasa and Dandi go to the house of Bhavabhuti. But they knock at the door of Bhavabhuti, expecting that Bhavabhuti will come and open the door. Instead, his 5-year-old granddaughter came and opened the door. She opened the door and she said, grandfather has gone out, he'll come in some time. Had it been my daughter, she would have, after saying this, she would have closed the door and come back. It was Bhavabhuti's granddaughter. So she said, okay, please be seated. In those days, there was an architectural marvel to construct elevated platforms on either sides of the main door outside the house. You can entertain your guests there and you can ask them to go. So on either sides, Kalidasa was made to sit. On the other side, Dandi was made to sit. This girl asked, what can I bring for you? You will ask, somebody comes to your house, you will ask. I cannot come to your house. So, immediately he asked, this girl asked, what can I get for you? Kalidasa says, Patrani Swarnavarnani Karnantaya cha lochane. Patrani, Bahuvachana Shabdam. Patrani means many leaves. What are those leaves? Beetle leaves. Patrani, BT modified leaves. Swarna Varnani, gold color beetle leaves. So, I don't know, you may get it in Costco, try it. So, gold color beetle leaves. Patrani, Swarna Varnani, Karnantaya Chalochane, the one whose eyes extend till the ears. Which technically, if you're a dancer, you should pray God. You should get eyes like that. Large eyes you should have. If not, you can extend your Anjanam till there. Itex you can extend till there. Patrani Swarnavarnani Karnataya Chalochane. Kalidasa said. And Dandi said, see, you're getting beetle leaves. For that, we cannot have beetle leaves just like that. We need a churnam. So he said, Turnam Aniyatam Churnam Purnachandra Nibhanane. Turnam, quickly. Simple, to poet class. Turnam Aniyatam Churnam Purnachandra Nibhanane. The one whose face looks like the full moon. Rakasha Shivadane. Purna Chandra Nibhanane, get me that churnam. This is what he asked. The girl said, okay, both were available in the house. She said, okay, wait, sirs, I will get. As she went inside and she brought the gold color beetle leaf and the churnam, she was walking from her inner apartment to the pedestal outside. Bhavabhuti, her grandfather who was out, incidentally, he was walking back. He saw this door open, this little girl coming with beetle leaf and churnam. He asked, whom are you getting this for? He didn't see Kalidasa and Dandi seated. She said, Kavayaha Kalidasaya Dandinaha Panditasya cha. I am bringing this for the great poet Kalidasa and the great grammarian Dandi. Judgment given. How did this girl judge? They had come for a judgment from the grandfather. But how did this girl judge? Because in poetry, you essentially don't have to be bothered about the sentence construct. Technically, in sentence, you should have a subject and a predicate. S plus P. Predicate distributes itself into verb and object. Because you need an object to the subject and the verb. What that subject does with that object is the verb. And then that object will get divided into indirect object and direct object. And then what verb you use, whether you use it in past participle, past continuous, present, present continuous, gerund, infinitive, all that will come into position. A poet will not be bothered about all of this. A grammarian will be bothered. He has to get that 1 mark per sentence. So he will check if everything is there. What Kalidasa said, Patrani Swarna Varnani, leaves of golden color, Karnantaya Chalochane, the one whose eyes extend till the ears, leaf of golden color. This is all he said. He was a poet. But Dandi, he said, he said, Churnam, the paste, the one whose face is like the full moon, fetch me that Churnam. Fetch. It is a verb. So this girl had a formula. If you use a verb, you're a grammarian. Minus the verb, you're a poet. So she said, Kavayaha Kalidasaya Dandinaha Panditasya cha. Now, so poetry is integral to Sanatana Dharma. Ramayanam itself is called Adi Kavyam. So because of this exaggeration, we should strip all these exaggerations and see the main thing. Because people will say, will there be a golden peak, silver peak? Just like that. Nobody is going to clean and then put Argentum AG at the top of one peak. So this is a mountain called Trikuta. By the foothills, you had one lake, nice trees. One elephant came. Normal National Geographic Channel. One elephant came, large elephant. When I talk of elephants, I cannot not speak about the beautiful Kshetram, Parashurama Kshetram of Kerala. I give many lectures in Kerala in different parts. There is a festival in Thrissur called Puram Festival. We all talk about pets. There all huge elephants will come. 100, 200 elephants will come. And there is one elephant which has got 7 cases against it. 7 criminal cases. Can you tell me what is the name of that elephant? Yandana. പേര് പറയാം? അല്ല, ഗജേന്ദ്രൻ ഭാഗവതമാണല്ലോ, പിന്നായിട്ട് പറയാം. കേശവൻ അതൊക്കെ പോയി, അത് ഗുരുവായൂരിൽ പോയി. രാമചന്ദ്രൻ, he has got a Facebook page. നോക്കാം. That elephant it has got 7 cases. It has killed so many people. Yet they will use, people will take selfie with it. Now, this elephant, Gajendra, came with a few other female elephants. This elephant, with no thought of presenting flowers, generally we are told he wanted to do archana to the Lord. All, no archana, no Aravind, nothing. So he wanted to come to the pond just like that, and he went, kept his foot, like how an elephant goes into the pond. It plucked one of the newly blossomed flowers and kept it in its trunk, and all the others are taking photo. You know, there should be a style where you can take it. We have people who will, they will rotate this specs and then they will put, you know, you have many actors in our country, they will do like this. I tried this, it broke. So it comes only for certain people, only are blessed with such great style. Some are commander-in-chief, some are heads, you know, you don't know, head is Talai, commander-in-chief Talapadi. They all get Purusha Sukta Abhishekam. They will put milk over them. Sahasra Sirsha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyadishtadachangulam. So this elephant plucked one of those flowers. Normal description. The female elephants were extremely happy. And now the elephant, finally it has to come out of the waters of the pond. While it was about to come, 3 legs were out. While it was about to take the 4th foot out, it couldn't. It checked what had happened. Its foot was caught in the jaws of a crocodile. It occurs in forests. If you go to Masai Mara, you will see migration of animals. All this is a regular thing there. This is not something they will say, what is it? Shuka Brahmam has written 100 shlokas, waste of time. Every day we see. Correct. So this elephant came, it was caught by the jaws of a crocodile. Sir, for this, why should you waste our good Thursday evening? Why all this is featured in Bhagavatam? Till now it is normal description. Now this elephant suffers at the hands of the crocodile. Normal. Now the elephant is reminded of its previous janma. This is where it turns into Bhagavatam. Yesterday, I spoke about one person called Jada Bharata. I said he was Jada Bharata in 2 janmas previous to that. But he was able to remember each of the janmas and the Bhakti Yogam. What are such people called? Very good. Jati Smaraha. Jati Smaraha are unique individuals who can manage to remember segments of their previous births. So this elephant was essentially a king called Indradyumna. Indradyumnaha Pandya Khandadirajaствadbhaktatma Chandanadrau kadachit Tvatsevayam Magnadhiraluloke Naivagastyam Praptamatithyakamam. Bhattadri tells in Narayaniyam, there was a king of Pandya Desham, Indradyumna. What was his name? Indradyumnaha Pandya Khandadi Raja. He was the one who ruled this territory of Pandya Desham. He was a great devotee of the Lord. Tvadbhaktatma. Great Mahatma he was. One day he was doing Chandanadrau Kadachit. Near Chandanadri he was doing Archana to the Lord. Vishvaya Namaha, Vishnave Namaha, Vashatkaraya Namaha, Bhuta Bhavya Prabhave Namaha, Putatmane Namaha, Paramatmane Namaha. He was doing Archana. He was seated. Aradhana Shalagramam is here. He is doing Archana. That time, the soldiers, as he was doing Archana, they said, Raja, Agastya Maharshi has come. Agastya was originally in the north. Then because of Parvati's wedding, Shiva said, you go to the south. And Agastya came. As Agastya came, Agastya was very short. He was a dwarf. Generally, that's a disorder. It's called dwarfism. right? So the pituitary gland would have not functioned or malfunctioned, they won't grow. So this Agastya came, great Maharishi, but very short. He came. To worship Agastya, you should not stand up, you should be seated, because then only you can meet the eye. Now, as Agastya Maharishi was coming, this person, Indradyumna, who was performing Archana, Vishnave Namaha, Madhusudana Namaha, Trivikrama Namaha, Vamana Namaha, Sridhara Namaha, Rishikesha Namaha, Padmanabha Namaha. What? We do that, right? We should be frank. Don't we do that? Because we are worried if we stop, then we won't know where we have stopped. That is our problem. Right? So we will continue, but we will do all these abhinayam. This, that. This is all this Raja did. He didn't do anything bad, nothing abusive. He just welcomed Agastya by nodding his head. Agastya felt humiliated. How dare you nod your head and welcome me? You shall be born as an animal that keeps nodding its head. Naiva Agastyam praptamatithya kamam. For such things, if people have to curse, how many curses we have to get in one day? Kumbodbhutihi sambhrita krodha bharaha stabdhatma tvam hasti bhuyam bhajeti shaptvatyainam pratyagat sopi lebhe hastindratvam tvat smriti vyakti dhanyam. Now this is the flashback. Now we are going like Benjamin case, that curious case of Benjamin Button. We are going back and forth. Now this is the flashback of the elephant. Now the elephant was reminded of its previous janma of having offered obeisances to the Lord through odes and hymns such as this. Now who is this crocodile? This crocodile has one flashback. Now there was a Gandharva. He went into the waters and he was playing. He went into the waters. While he was going, he saw one stand-like structure and he pulled. It was actually the leg of one rishi. This rishi fell. He had a L3 problem. Hustavad devalasya pishapad grahi bhutastajjale vartamanaha jagrahinam hastinam padadeshe shantyartham hi shranti dosi swakanam. The rishi said, since you are doing acts like an animal that stays underwater and pulls people secretly, you shall be born as a crocodile. Now we know the flashback of the crocodile, flashback of the elephant. Now both these came together. Both their flashbacks come together. So destiny put this elephant and the crocodile together. This crocodile started pulling. Of course, Bhagavatam tells how many years they fought. All that is not relevant to us. Now this elephant was reminded of its previous janma. When it thought that all its efforts to excuse and rescue itself had failed, it thought there is no other way but to seek the presence and the intervention of the divine. Then it started singing praises of the Lord through a stuti called Gajendra Stuti. It's very famous in Bhagavatam. Now, our traditional Upanyasakas, whom I have heard, elderly people whom all you have heard, they would say this. Then the elephant started singing praises of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Yetat Chidatmakam. It started singing. But there is a technical problem here. Traditional Upanyasakas used to say this. Apo, Rajendran, Padinanam, Ade, Kotutu, they'll say. But the problem is, how can an elephant sing in Sanskritam? Sing. Sanskritam. Shlokam. All, sir, how is it possible? Then, some of our traditional people will say, don't ask such questions. That elephant did. This is where we need to do some homework. Communication need not have to be always oral. We say communicate. What we generally mean is speak. Speaking is not essentially the only way to communicate. Yes, it is a very effective tool. Undoubtedly, speaking is as a tool in communication is one of the most effective ways, but not necessary that speaking is the only tool. In that case, a child which is still about 2 or 3 can't even speak. Does it mean that the child is not communicating? It still communicates in its own way. If we say that speaking alone, the way we perceive speaking is the only way of communicating, then animals don't communicate as per this definition. Everyone, nature communicates, but in its own way. What is that own way? See, for example, how many of you have pets? Don't look at me. How many of you have pets? So you will know when your pet is upset with you, when it wants food. Does it communicate openly? I'm hungry, please give me food. No. You will look at the body language of the pet and you will be able to decipher that the pet is hungry. The pet is upset. Suppose you have gone out for 2 days, some pets don't even eat food. They will be waiting for your arrival. So animals have their own ways of communicating. So does a child. When the child cries and the mother comes, that intensity of the crying disappears. Half of it disappears just looking at the mother. The mother is able to communicate to the child. So the elephant essentially did not open its mouth through VFX and started singing. What that elephant thought in its mind about the Lord has been composed as shloka by Shukabrahmam, because Shukabrahmam could mind read the elephant. You're able to understand? This is where the shlokam begins. Om Namo Bhagavate Tasmai Etat Chidatmakam Purushaya Adibijaya Pareshaya Abhidhimahe Yasmin Nidam Yatachedam Yenedam Cha Idam Swayam Yosmat Parasmat Cha Parastam Prapadye Swayam Bhuvam. The one who has gone beyond the realms and the boundaries of space and time. Why? Bhuta Bhavya Bhavat Prabhu. Paramatma has to live at all points in time. You cannot say, sir, till yesterday he was not living. Today he was born. That's all. Then he won't know what all happened in the past. Sir, till today he is there. From tomorrow, I don't know whether he will survive or not. No. He has to live through all periods of time. He has to live everywhere. That is why we say, Sahasra Shirishah Purushaha, Sahasrakshaha Sahasrapat. Purusha Suktam, this is called Drishtavidhi, illustration. We should not take 1,000 as 1,000 and fit 1,000 heads and see. Sahasra Shiras means 1,000 heads. Technically, if we keep 1,000 heads, then we have to keep 2,000 eyes. There is only mention of 1,000 eyes. Then he'll be like Kabali. One eye. The villains you see in the movie, no? What it means is he's got thousands and thousands of eyes, because an eye is meant to see, perceive, perception. But I can't see what is beyond these walls because my eye has its own limitation. When I say that the Lord whom we perceive as Paramatma has thousands and thousands of eyes, it means he has eyes everywhere. So he is witness to what you see and think. That is the purport of this explanation. Sarvavyapakatva, he is pervaded everywhere. Abhyayaha Purushaha Sakshi till Sahasranama. He is a witness to what all we think. See, generally if a person has to discard something like dirt and there is no dustbin close by, we will do it. It is good to us. You know, when I used to go for lectures to the Middle East, Dubai, Abu Dhabi is commutable through road. Just takes about an hour or hour and a half. Interestingly, the person who used to drive me from Dubai to Abu Dhabi, in certain places he'll just go. I won't even know if the wheel is there touching the ground. He'll fly, literally fly. Then suddenly he'll become normal. Then I used to ask, why, sir? What is this? No, I know where the cameras are. But Paramatma is not like that. Whether you're in your washroom, whether you're in your bedroom, he's the unseen CCTV camera. He keeps seeing what all we do. So we give these statements, right? We put ourselves into the self-piteous mold, right? We are not that innocent. And this level of our criminality will be known only to him. Avyayaha Purushaha Sakshi. We can cheat people around us, dupe them. But who will cheat him? So this elephant started crying. The one who has gone beyond time and space, come and protect me. That is when our acharyas use this word, Naham, Naham, Nachaham, says Ammal, Vatsyavarada Guru. That is when he said, the one who is the cause. There are two words associated with this. Moolam. Moola mooleti khinne. Moolam means root, cause. Adi means the first cause. Adi Moolam means the one who is the cause, who doesn't have a cause for himself. He is the causeless cause. So this elephant said Adi Moolam. But in those days, if the hero has to jump from the mountain, he'll say Reka, Reka, Reka. Then he will jump. That echo has to come. So here the elephant said Adi Moolam, 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 Moolam. So the word Moolam was only echoed. That Adi did not come. See, generally in singing, I'm telling you, I know many Vidwans, they are good friends. Not every Kirtana Sahityam will be known to you perfectly. So there are nice ways you can hover around if you do not know. தெரியலன்னு வச்சுங்கோ, அவ்வளவுதான். Indira Ramana Indira. You can do that. And அந்த இடத்துல ரா வருதா பா வருதா, he won't know. So this elephant was a bit doubtful about Adi. Adi Moolame, Moolame. So this Moolam was heard by Brahma. So Brahma said, this elephant is calling me personally. Saraswati, get my lunch packed. She said, you pack it yourself. He made some dish and put it in his tiffin box. Then it was heard by Lord Shiva and Kailasha. He too packed and he called Nandi. Nandi was busy somewhere. He said, Nandi, come. We have to go. And he sat on Nandi. Parvati said, take care. I'll miss you. See ya. World is very small. Let's meet. Now these two left and Indra, he told Shachi Devi, Shachi, I have to go. Call Airavat. So Airavat came. It is the name of the bus in Cambodia. So Airavat came. So they all came. Cambodia van yaar ketta? Nidana chumma chonnenda. Serious eduthu. So now they all started. Now that first word was echoed. Adi, 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 Adi. Now then Brahma said, oh no, it's Adi Moolam. I am not the first cause. And he came back. And Shiva also retracted. He said, see, it is Adi Moolam. So he came back and Indra also went back. Now after going back, see, generally, I don't know the practice here in India, when I used to study, food used to be packed, my mother used to give. And incidentally, if the president or prime minister, if they pass away, then we'll get one day holiday. Then they will send us back home. So we'll be extremely happy. We are not enjoying their death, but in a way we have come back home. But my mother will not cook anything for me. She'll say, eat that. What is packed? So same curd rice, I have to eat. Now the same was served to Brahma and Shiva. So it was just like any other day. Now when Sri Vaikuntham, this was heard. Adi Moolam. Now you see again we should see it from a larger perspective. When the devotee calls for help, the Lord is there. We should not immediately ask sound waves travel slower than light waves. Where will it go to Vaikuntham? How many yojanas it is light years away? It is all this. We should not do that calculation. We should know how to read poetry and understand the underlying message. That is the beauty of a great devotee. Now, the Lord is sleeping. How is he sleeping in Vaikuntham? That itself is a great joy. Lakshmi will be pressing his leg. Thigh massage. Comfortable sleeping. See, when you sleep also, sleeping itself is a divine blessing. For people who suffer with no sleep, they will know the value of sleep. You will feel so bad when others are sleeping and you are not getting sleep. Eppadi thoongurar paarenga. Kada kettinde thoongurar. So see, when I travel, see, well, I used to Well, I used to be a kid and I used to go to my grandfather's place, grandparents' place. They used to look at the Panchangam and check if it is the right day to go. They used to check the Panchangam and send. So they will check if it is Ashtami Tithi, Navami Tithi, Bharani, Kritika Nakshatram, and then they would send. So they would look at the Panchangam and then they will send the child out. But today my life is such where I keep traveling. To go to my house, I have to look at the Panchangam. Is it Ashtami, Navami? So my sleep. See, today I have flights at odd hours. So I have to wake up. If it is a 5 o'clock flight, you all call that night flight, red eye flight, right? So if it is a red eye flight, if it is like 3 o'clock in the morning, I have to wake up by 12. Because invariably the city will be somewhere, the airport will be somewhere. So if it is 12 o'clock, then I have to keep the alarm at 12. 9 o'clock I'll sleep, 10 o'clock I'll wake up. I'll check if it is 12. Then 11 o'clock I'll wake up. 11:30 I'll wake up at Center and I'll check if the alarm is working or not. Then I will give alarm to that alarm at 12. Is this sleep? Sleep means if you sleep in the night, next morning when you wake up, you should have realized 10 hours have passed. The Lord is sleeping like that. Now, the moment he heard the wail, the cry of the elephant, Has Devi Hastambujebhyasharana Kisalaye Samvridebhyopahritya Pratyasthananta Bhogam Jhatiti Chalapute Chakshushi Vistrutanaha Akshipyorascha Lakshmyastana Kalashakanat Kunkumastoma Pankat Deva Shrirangadhama Gajapati Ghushite Vyakula Syat Purona, says Parashara Bhatta in Sri Rangarajastavam. The Lord, who is generally very calm, composed, civilized, seasoned, the moment he heard the wail of the elephant, he withdrew his legs. So for a second, Lakshmi's hands were loitering in the air because the legs have just been withdrawn. He jumped from that serpent couch. The Ayudhas were themselves confused because they were resting for some time. What has happened to this man? He is generally very well dressed. Alankara Priyo Vishnu. Very well dressed. Whether he takes bath or not is another question. Lord Shiva is on the other. Abhisheka Priyo Shiva. Always taking bath. He is not interested in dressing. So for Parvati it was new. She said, my brother dressed so well. This man always he is taking bath. So Vishnu, he is generally very well dressed. He'll check before the mirror if everything is right. Today he didn't check. Devi Hastambujejat. He just jumped. Garuda was resting for some time. How long will he fly? He has gone to the hangar. Now he was pulled for a distance. Garuda did not realize, sir, I'm feeling hurt. What are you doing? He dragged Garuda and then sat on him. See, how many of you cycle? I'm not asking the ability to cycle. How many of you generally cycle? You all cycle. So there are two ways to get onto a cycle. One, you sit on the cycle and start pedaling. Or the other is to run along with the cycle and then jump onto it. The Lord did the second. He pulled Garuda and sat on it. Now he said, go. Garuda said, give me the drop point. You have to tell where I have to go. Where will I go? Go to that child which is suffering. Then Garuda understood from GPS that there is one particular location he's going. As he goes, Uksha dakshantakasya skhalati valajida kunjara khanjariti klanto dhatu shakunto nuga iti dayaya sami ruddhasya dopi graha grasta dvipendra kshati bhaya chakita kuntha vaikuntha chinta nasiro dharamurtir naraka vihataye sadvihageshwaro naha. So as Garuda was flying, the Lord stood. The Garuda will very well stand in one place, then the Lord could have gotten. But generally when you go to, see, you should see the flights. Here it is better. In India, when the flight has just landed, everybody will get up from their seats. They've got something very important. They have to go and help the wailing elephant. They will all get up. Gajendra Raksha Tvaritam Bhavantam Grahye Nivadair. See, there is a belief if you get up, you will go faster. No. So he got up. The Lord got up. Then he asked his chakram, that is his attendant. He said, chakram is not there. Have I forgotten that in Vaikuntham? Right? Many of you would have forgotten that notes in your house. We don't take, sir. Why? So he said, where is the chakram? By then the chakram had gone and done its job. So what is the point here? First I will talk about this, then I'll see the philosophy within it. So it had done its job, because chakram should do its job well, because it should not end up cutting the elephant's foot also. Because the elephant foot is inside the jaws of the crocodile. So if it cuts in the wrong way, then that elephant foot will also be cut, causing more damage to the elephant. So it has to cut at that strategic position where the jaws could be opened, the elephant's foot could be retrieved. Now, how did Sudarshana go even without the Lord even commanding it go? Because in Agama Shastram, Sudarshana, one means very beautiful to look at. Sudarshana, very handsome. It also comes from the root word Saudarshanam, which in Agama means the divine will of the Lord. What does that divine will mean? Sankalpa Shakti is called Saudarshanam. What does it mean? I will give you an example to understand this. Imagine I have a house in the 3rd floor, no elevator to my building. On the day of Amavasya, power cut. I think what is that called? Earth hour. Earth hour, then they will switch off all the lights. So all lights are switched off. It is Amavasya Ratri, no charge in my phone, no source of light anywhere. And I have to walk up the stairs till the 3rd floor and reach my house. I can still do it because I've been doing it every day. So I know the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I reach my door, I open. I've been doing this every day. I know the number of steps. I don't need anybody to guide me. Even in the absence of light, I can walk. Imagine I've befriended the Lord. The Lord says, I'm very happy with you, Dushyanth. I want to come to your house. Please, please come. And I take him along. Same Amavasya Ratri, no charge in his phone also, my phone also. We have to walk. Now the Lord doesn't know how many steps are there. I know there are 10. So after the 10th step, it's simple platform, I will just walk. Whereas the Lord may assume that after the 10th step, there is 11th step. We have had this. Have you faced this? So at times when you go to an unknown place where there is no light, only when the foot hits hard on the surface, you'll know that the steps have stopped. Correct? So imagine the Lord too has this problem what we have faced, and after the 10th step, he keeps the next foot assuming there is a step while there is none. That time the step will appear. That is called divine will. The Lord doesn't have to. This is the point Vedanta says. When we say the world is created, he won't literally sit with earth, some stones, and then put all of them together. Okay, this is called Los Altos Hills. Take some water, put some NaCl in the right proportion, sea water, put that into Pacific. He won't do that. Creation is not a physical activity to the Lord. Vedam says it is mental. It's his divine will. Bahusyam prajayeti. Let the world be created is creation in Sanatana Dharma. Understand this. It's not a physical activity. He'll bring this together, that together, cook, boil a few things together and then put them back into the crust of the earth and then say, let it stay as magma there. Let it come out as lava in one of the islands of Indonesian archipelago nation. Let it come out as... All this he won't do. It is natural. Now this divine will of the Lord exceeds the Lord's power. That is why even before the Lord could say, his divine will came and protected. That is why while celebrating Gajendra Moksham, the Lord who rescued the wailing elephant from the jaws of a crocodile, Parashara Bhatta says, Bhagavatha Saptaham Namaha. I will not salute the Lord. I will not salute the Lord. He says, I will salute at the speed with which the Lord came. Bhagavata Saptaham Namaha. He celebrates now the elephant's leg is taken out. Now which got moksham first? Crocodile. Elephant got it later. So what is the secret to moksham? You have to go bite the foot of some devotee. Now the Lord, he rescued the elephant's foot and gave whatever first aid is possible to the elephant, and finally said, bring your trunk down. Give that flower. You wanted this flower to be given to me. For this, you had to undergo so much of pain. I told you at the start, the elephant had no such intent. Right? But the Lord always thinks every activity of ours is aimed at Him, and He always feels that we are venerating Him. So that is the secret. Now, the Gajendra Moksham happened, and all these namas, Shabdasaha, Shishiraha, Sharvarikaraha, Akruraha, all this comes in Sahasranamam, and this is all reminiscent of this particular avataram. Tirumangayalvar celebrates மீனமர் பொய்கை நான்மலர் கொய்வான் வேட்கையினோடு சென்னழிந்து கானமர் வேழம் கையெடுத்தலர கராதன் காலினை கதுவ ஆனையின் துயரம் தீர புல்வூர்ந்து சென்று நின்று ஆழி தொட்டானை தேனமர் சோலை மாடமா மயிலை திருவல்லிக்கேணி கண்டேனே. So he talks about Gajendra Varada, all our acharyas. Oh, Gajendra Moksham is the most used description by all our Bhagayakaras. गज को जब ग्राह ग्रसो दुशासन चीर ग्रसो सभा बीच कृष्ण कृष्ण द्रौपदी पुकारी, says Surdas. So Mirabai, Gajendra Govinda Namasaram Gajendra Rakshana Dhiram, says Muthuswami Dikshita. And so does Purandaradasa. Purandaradasa has his own witty way of saying, you have not come and protected me, you have protected the elephant. How much commission did he give? I will give that. Kariraja yeshtu kottano helo hariye yake nirdaya nadiyo. You came and protected Prahlada yesterday at 8 o'clock. How much gold did he give? ಕೆಂಗಿಟ್ಟು ಕಂಬದಲ್ಲಿ ನರಹರಿಯನೇ ಒಂದೇ ಬಿಂಗದಿ ಪ್ರಹ್ಲಾದನನ ಅಪ್ಪಿಕೊಂಡಿ. ಕನಕವ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೊಟ್ಟನೋ? How much gold did he give? Now Parikshit says, fine, I am done with Gajendra Moksh. Now let's go to Kurmavatar. Now let's go to Kurmavataram. In Kurmavataram, it begins with Durvasa. You have heard of this rishi called Durvasa? Many Durvasas are there. Those who get angry unnecessarily and with whom we can't stay together are Durvasa. Durvasa. You can't do Vasam with them. So many houses have Durvasas. Durvasa Suravanitapta Divyamalyam. My grandmother used to say, Durvasar Vardu. Shakraya Swayam Upadaya Tatra Bhuyaha Nagendra Pratimrudite Shashapa Shakram Kakshantistvadidara Deva Tamshajanam. This Durvasa, he got one Vanamalyam, a divine garland as a prasadam. See, this is another problem. When we go to any, I don't know about the temples here, you have wonderful temples. Temples you have got. So imagine I'm talking about my experience in Bharata Desha. If we go to a temple, generally our concentration should be on the God, the divinity of the Lord, the divinity of the kshetram, the architecture. But it will also be on the people who have come there. So our devotion is at a different level. But the point is, suppose the priest, he knows one devotee who has come and he calls them closer to the Garbhagraham and he garlands them. See, natural human tendency in us, how much ever I say Bhagavatam, how much ever you listen to Bhagavatam, wish he had given that garland to me also. Won't we have that thought? Natural, correct? If you have not got, you are the 14th Alva, 13th Alva. Okay? Natural, normal, mundane, primitive, mortal human being will have this thought, why can't? But the problem is, we will desire that we should get that mala. But the moment he gives that mala, the next problem is where to keep it. That is where we will search. Where did the Pallavas and Cholas construct some hole? When we are doing Pradakshinam, if a hole is found, if nobody is there, we'll dump it there and come. Same is the case with Durvasa. He got the Mala Prasadam of Mahalakshmi through a Vidyadhara Stri. Durvasa got it. Now, where will he keep it? He doesn't have a permanent address also. Where will he go and hang it? So he saw Indra coming in a divine celestial elephant called Airavata. So he said, Indra, take this garland. Now Indra had to get down from the elephant and then take. That's going to take little time. So he said, Airavat, take it. Now Airavata, along with using his trunk, kept that like a hook. So the garland was hung around the trunk. And the Airavata took the garland up and placed it on its mastakam. The mastakam of an Asian elephant will have a wave, whereas an African elephant will not have. For now, let's assume it was an Asian elephant. It had a mastakam, and the gap he placed that mala. Certain malas are very disturbing. If they are extremely fragrant, effervescent, and natural flowers, bees will hover around them. In many places, when they garland me, the bees will come. I'll keep it. I am not Karna. Angam harehe pulaka bhushanam ashrayanti bhringanganeva mukula bharanam tamalam. Mahalakshmi can. What if it stings me? I'll keep it. In certain malas, you will have thorns. It will prick you. So now this mala was very disturbing to the elephant, and it shook his head, and the garland fell. And it trampled on that particular mala. And Durvasa was witness to this. And you know about Durvasa's anger. You don't need a proper reason for him to get angry at all. If you just tell him, now get angry, he'll get angry. Instant. Kochi mama. So, immediately, he said, Maddatta bhavata yasmat kshipta mala mahitale tasmat pranashta lakshmikam trailokyam te bhavishyati. Whatever is giving you this prosperity and thereby arrogance, which was natural in Indra, all that will go away. So, what all he had as means and to showcase his prosperity vanished in thin air. He had a wish-yielding gem called as Chintamani outside his house. It was like an ethnic stone. It will give whatever you want. He had some divine cows called Kamadenu, Nandini, Surabhi. They were all in the backyard. They all went into the woods. Then he used to have one divine tree and a creeper called Kalpakam and Parijatam. If you go and ask, it will give. You don't have to. Indrani and Indra never cooked. They have to tell the menu to the tree the previous day. They have to tell lasagna and pasta. Next day, that will also ask whether you want white sauce or with olives and the jalapeno. Then it will ask what are you allergic to. All that it will say. Vegan. No, it had vegan options also. All that went away. Now with every sign of prosperity disappearing, all that he had invested went away. Stocks went southwards. Everything went away. Then they went to Brahma, and Brahma, I told you, the day one itself, Brahma will worry along with them. So he said, see, the only way is, I've found from footages that all the signs of your prosperity have gone into deep waters. In Marina Trench they are, 10,348 meters below the sea level. They are there. To retrieve them, you have to churn the ocean. Who will guide us? Let's go to Narayana. Purusha Suktena. They recited Purusha Suktam. The Lord said, see, now you have to use a strategy. With the manpower you have, you can't do it. You need to have an understanding with your half-brothers, the Asuras. You are all Suras. Sura. You are Vijay. Asura, you have to go to Asura. You have to go to Dhanush. And with that, you have to churn. So, and that is when the Lord said, see, whatever they say, you have to agree. Pre-election alliances, you should say yes, yes. So you start churning. That is when they had to bring that mountain called Mandara. And the churning rope was Vasuki, a snake. Vasuki came from Kashmir. This churning of the ocean is so important that it finds mention in almost all the granthas. In Balakandam, Ramayanam, Rama listens to Samudra Manthanam in Balakandam from Vishwamitra. In Sri Mahabharatam, in the 18 Parvas, the first Parva called Adi Parva, there is a mention of Samudra Manthanam. Vishnu Puranam, there is Samudra Manthanam. In Bhagavatam, there is Samudra Manthanam. In Alvar's verses, Samudra Manthanam. In the work by a Jain, he was called Ilanko. He wrote one work 2000 years back on the story of the lost anklet. What is it called? Silappadigaram. In that there is a mention of Vadavarayai Mattaki Vasukiyai Nanaki Kadal Vannan Pandorunai Kadal Vaira Kalakinaye Kalakiyadu Yashodaya Kanaikayitral Katumkai Malarkamala Undiyal Mayamo. So this finds mention. It goes even till the land of Kambuja Desham called Cambodia today. One of the panels, which is 216 feet long by Khmer dynasty, is the Samudra Manthanam. Very important scene. How it happened is another question, whether it's logically tenable to have one hill in the middle of the water, wouldn't sink, all that is different. But it finds mention in all our granthas. Those of you who have been to Thailand will be welcomed in the airport of Suvarna Bhumi by Samudra Manthana Drishyam. Any bridge in Cambodia will have Vasuki snake. Any bridge in Cambodia and Siam Reap. Because there is a river called Siam Reap. And it is believed that the river goes to a certain distance and meanders and comes back and goes around a lake in a circular fashion. So the people were reminded of this natural event and related that to Kurmavataram. So anything in Cambodia will have Kurmavataram. So now they had to churn. Now as the Devas went to the tail portion, Asuras went to the head portion, and they started churning. As they started, teamwork, they started doing it. Now the first came Halahalam. Garalam Taralanalam Purastad Jaladhehe Udvijagala Kalakutam. So this Kalakutam came, it started floating on the waters. You must have seen a lot of these oil ships sink. So the oil will stay on the water. So this dark fluid of virulent poison floated on the waters. It was so viscous, its viscosity was much different, so it couldn't go. As how milk gets into water as a colloid, it couldn't go, it couldn't dissolve completely, it was floating on the water. So the Devas and Asuras, whenever something is not consumable, they said, no, we are not interested. But see, only if you take this away, the other things will come out. See, today they are going to serve Pal Payasam. Did they tell you? No. Krishna Avataram. Okay. In Pal Payasam, there is a way of doing it. You cannot just leave, I know, now you have got Brahma Srishti Instapot. Whatever you want, you can do in that. They say, sir, whatever you want, you do. It will cook. I said, will it eat? No, that we can do. It will cook and eat also, then what we will have to eat. So, while doing Pal Payasam, Kheer, technically you have to be next to it, and every time there's a layer of cream that's formed, you have to push it to the ends. Then it becomes rabdi. You've heard of rabdi? Lallu's wife. Now they churned the ocean. Now this poison had to be consumed. Who will come? Neelakantha Dikshita, one of the relatives to Appai Dikshita, says in his beautiful work, Neelakantha Vijaya Champu. He says, Na khalvatmana sachivoktam ityevadaraniyam parasvichoktam itiva pariharaniyam dhimatam dhireva sachiva. So Lord Shiva came. He said, it's okay, I will take that poison. Bhattadri tells, why did Shiva want to do this? See, generally, why will you volunteer? Bhavat Priyartham, he says in Narayaniyam, He wanted to impress upon the Lord of Guruvayur, it seems. Bhattadri, everything was Guruvayur. So Shiva, because Shiva is very close by to a kshetram called Mammiyur. So he said he wanted to make friends with his neighbor. Love thy neighbor. He said, for you I will take poison also. Now he started consuming. Then there is a folklore around that Parvati was informed about this. She came running and she held his throat. You have heard of this? One poet says, he uses Ninda Stuti and says, one poison is going. Outside she's choking him. What will Lord Shiva do? So then it stayed here and he had that scar of Neela Grivaya, says Sri Rudram. Drape andhasaspate daridran Neela Lohita, says Sri Rudram. But there is a verse in Saundarya Lahari which says, what protected Shiva? Parvati did not want to come personally, it seems. Garalam yatkshvelam kabalitavata kalakalana nashambhos tanmulam tavajanani tatanka mahima. He says, her earrings were enough. The divinity and the auspiciousness associated with Parvati's earrings were enough to give Shiva longevity. She didn't have to come personally. Tavajanani tatanka mahima. So now he became Nilagriva. Then after that, now mountains started sinking. Lot of problems in this journey. Now these people were already exhausted. They were given ORS. They were exhausted. Now somebody had to support the mountain from the beneath. Now it started floating again. Oh, what has happened? The Lord came as Kurma. Now Vedanta Deshika asks, why did the Lord come as Kurma? What is the reason? He says, the Lord wanted to scratch his back. You know, scratching your back is a very good pastime. You try it. You also get such long pencils with that. Adisesha. You can do this. So the Lord wanted to scratch, but people will talk about his image. Sir, your Vishnu, Vaikunt ke Vishnu hai aap aise kar paenge? कर सकते हैं क्या? मीडिया क्या बोलेगी? बरखा और राजदीप क्या बोलेंगे? Immediately the Lord said, so I have to incarnate as a tortoise. So the nerve endings of the tortoise are on the shell. They'll be great research scholars. You can fact check me. Now tortoises have also become pets in many houses. So they'll keep scratching. The person who tames it says, it likes that, it seems. You check. So the Lord wanted to get his back scratched. So he came as a tortoise and on his back was placed this entire mountain and it was churned. Now Vedanta Deshika says, if it is churned well, you'll get good sleep. Somebody scratches your back. And as you sleep well, you snore. And as the tortoise snored, the air that came let the waters of the ocean turn into waves. Avyasur bhuvana traimai britam kanduya nairandrina nidranasya parasya kurma vapushaha vishwasa vatormayaha yadvikshepana samskrutodadhipayah prenkhola paryankika nityarohana nirvrito viharate devasahaiva shriya. So the churning was done. Then you all know what all emerged. Airavatam, Uchchaishravas, Kamadhenu, Chintamani, Kaustubamani, all these manis came. Then Chandra came. Chandra regained his lost sheen. And then he was adorned by Shiva. Chandra Chuda Shiva Shankara Parvati Ramanane. Then Kaustuba went to the Lord. Each one took. Finally came Mahalakshmi. Lakshmim Kshira Samudra Rajatanayam Shri Rangadhamishwarim Dasi Bhuta Samasta Deva Vanitam Lokaika Deepankuram Shriman Manta Kataksha Labdha Vibhavad Brahmendra Gangadaram Tvam Trailokya Kutumbinim Sarasijam Bande Mukunda Priyam. She came. So the moment she came, her father, the ocean king, minister of ocean, Samudra Raja, he said, whom do you want to marry? Purandaradasa was in that scene. He immediately wrote it in Kannada. Ksheerabdhi Kanyake Shri Mahalakshmi Yarige Vadhuvaguve. Whom will you marry? Badari Narayana Nigo. Will you marry the Lord of Badrinath? She said, it's already very cold. Why will I go marry? Then I have to settle in Dehradun for 6 months. It will snow there very heavily, 16,000 feet. Ayodhya Ramachandra Murti go. Will you marry Ramchandra of Ayodhya? Jai Shri Ram. Will you marry? Mahalakshmi said, see, he's monogamous. He will marry only Sita. Why will I go there? Will you marry Chandrabhaga Nadi Tira Vithalani go? Will you marry Vitthal of Pandarpur? Rupa Pahata Lochani Sukha Jale Wo Sajani Toha Vithala Barva Toha Madhava Barva Toha Vithala Barva Toha Madhava Barva Toha Vithala. Will you marry Vittal? Vittal means what? The one who stands on one brick. Vittal, the one who stands on one brick. Mahal. When will this man buy a house? What the Shengal and So, will you marry the Lord of Sri Rangam? Everything he gave. It was a Swayamvaram for Lakshmi, and finally she chose. I like to marry this Vishnu here. He's very handsome. I'll marry him. So she married. Now this Lakshmi Vivaham is the culmination of Kurmavatar. Next we have to go to Vamanavatar. So in Kurmavataram and Vamanavataram, why are they related, sir? Because the one who stood on the side of Asuras was Bali. So from Kurmavataram, you have to come directly to Vamanavataram. Now Bali died in that war because there is one folklore, one incident in our Puranam, not in Bhagavatam. It talks about when the Amritam came. What does Amritam do? Immortality. Sanatana Dharma's Vedanta states, if you are born, you have to die. Simple. Whoever you are, you may be a great person, but you still have to die. So there is no wholesale mass exemption given. So you have to die. Now the body, the material body has to be left, and the Jivatma has to leave that body. Whoever be it. Whether it is the Devas, Asuras, Vijay, Setupati, whoever it is, they have to leave. Now, Amritam has been often told, we have understood from Sri Amar Chitra Katha that it gives immortality. No. Nobody can be immortal. Only the one who doesn't have birth can be immortal. Ajayamano. The one who is unborn only will never have death. If you are born, you have to have death. So what is this Rasayanam? Ayurvedam tells very clearly. That concoction, that medical panacea that helps you live longer. It extends, it gives you longevity and gives you better immunity. You won't have that many illnesses if you consume it. You know, the Chavan Prash, like that. So that is called Rasayanam in Ayurveda, which is called Amritam. Remember this. So the Devas wanted longevity, they wanted to look young, anti-wrinkle cream they wanted to use. So that is why this concoction came. Immortality is not granted. Underline. Now they wanted this Rasayanam. That is when we have one of the small narrations in our Puranas that talk about Viprachitti who went on the side of the Devas and he was given Amritam, which the Lord's eyes spotted. Chandra Surya Nayana Aprameya Vagi Indra Janaka Sakalesha Shubra Nagendra Shayana Shamana Vairisanuta. The eyes spotted that are akin to the sun and the moon, that Viprachitti has come. That is when Sudarshana comes and cuts, and then their bodies are attached to the snakes. They become Rahu and Ketu. Correct? Technically, in our Navagrahas, we never had Rahu and Ketu. Muthuswami Dikshita also did not sing 9 kritis. He sang only 7. It is called Bharak kritis. Even the great mathematician in the 6th century called Lalla, in his commentary says that Rahu and Ketu are not to be treated as grahas. It is a concept where you can probably say, Lalla says this as a mathematician, that the shadow which has been cast during the eclipses is possessed. This is the maximum you can say, rather than saying Rahu and Ketu. But now Rahu and Ketu have become very popular. So if I say anything about Rahu and Ketu, there is one Rahu Rasigar Mantra. They will get upset. Now, in this war that happened after this, when the Lord knew, one of the persons who died from the Asura sides, prominent person, was Bali. Where is Bali from? Evidana Bali. Parayam? Kerala Malle. Alla. Idana problem. Prahladan, okay, fine. Prahlada is from Pakistan. Okay, Bali, his grandson, suddenly he has to come to Kerala. Where is he from? He's from Gujarat. Sir, every year during Onam, after Sadhya, he comes. No, that is the problem. Our understanding of Puranas is very weak. In Srimad Ramayanam, when Rama goes on an internship with Vishwamitra, an ashrama is shown to Vishwamitra, where it is said, Vamana as Upendra was born to Aditi and Kashyapa here. That is called Siddhashramam in Bihar. Kashyapa is from Kashmir. Some snow problem, he came to Bihar. Then in the labor room, she delivered Vamana. During that time, Bali Chakravarti ruled Bharuch, which is Bhrugukacham in Gujarat. Narmada Tate, says Bhagavatam. Then he performed a yagam, and then Vamana went. Now the point is, Bali ruled this place, but he died during the war. He was extremely hurt. Rather than saying died, he was extremely hurt. That is when Shukracharya comes and uses Sanjeevani mantra to rejuvenate and bring him back to life. Shakrena sanyati hatopi balir mahatma shukrena jivita tanuhu kratu varditoshma. Kratu means yagam. Using yagam, he brought him back. Vikrantiman bhayanilina suram trilokim chakre vashesa tava chakra mukhada bhitaha. Then he ruled his place. He seized the properties of people illegally. And he built a huge empire around it. Yathatani punasadho prapadyena mamatmajaha. Looking at her son suffering at the hands of Bali, Aditi could not take it. She went to her husband. This Aditi and Kashyapa produced the maximum. Now she goes and asks, oh, my sons are suffering, what do I do now? That is when Kashyapa said, see, we can have a child, but the child should be divine. For that, you should seek divine blessings. So you do Payo Vratam, for which you have to smear your body with the mud that has been dug by the wild boar through its tusks. And you have to smear that throughout your body, and you have to do it. Sini valyam mridalipya snayat krodavitirnaya yadilabhyeta vaistrotam yetam mantra mudirayet tvam devyadivarahena rasayaha sthanamichata udhritasi namastubhyam papmanam me pranashaya. Last one question now. I didn't ask for a long time. Tvam devyadi varahena rasayaha sthanamichata udhritasi namastubhyam papmanam me pranashaya is the shlokam in Bhagavatam. Tvam devyadi varahena udhritasi namastubhyam. Are you reminded of any mantra? Again, I'll repeat. Devyadi varahena, adi varahena, udhritasi namastubhyam. Closest clue. Varacharama shlokam is a Purana antargatam. It is a shlokam. I'm talking about Vedam. There is one mantra. Udhritasi varahena krishnena shatabahuna. Veda mantram has been produced as a shlokam in Bhagavatam, because Veda mantra has restrictions as to who should recite. But Puranam doesn't have. So that everybody can recite, Shuka Brahmam has converted a mantra into a shloka. Now, as she propitiated the Lord and eventually turned pregnant, on a wonderful day of Vijayadvadashi, the boy was born. Tvam Kashyape, the star on which the boy was born was Shravanam. Shravanam in the Tamil language is Tiruvonam. So that Thiru is cut and that festival is called Onam. Tvam kashype tapasi sannidhattadanim praptosi garbhamadite pranuto vidhatra prasutacha prakata vaishnava divyarupam sadvadashi shravana punya dine bhavantam. Then this boy, at the age of 5, Upanayanam was performed. So there is a description. Brihaspati came and gave sacred thread. It was given by Brihaspati. Kashyapa, the father, gave the sacred cord. Bhuma Devi gave Krishnajinam. You know what is Krishnajinam? Deer's hide. Somadeva gave the staff, Dandam. Dyauhu gave the umbrella. Brahma gave the Kamandalam. Saptarishi gave the Darbha grass. Saraswati gave the Akshamala. Kubera. See, what is Kubera's gift? Kubera was the biggest private lender in those days. He gives one Bhiksha Patram. Bhiksha Patram. Now, when the Upanayanam happens, the father has to do Brahmopadesham. Technically, the father, if he is living, he has to do the Brahmopadesham for the boy. He has to teach what was taught to him. It is a great mantra called Gayatri Mantram. That is why Avvayar has said, Tandai solmikka mandiram illai. Tandai has to teach that mantra. But the problem is, Tandai should know. Tandai should know the mantra. So he has to teach that mantra to the boy. Now, after the Upanayanam is over, the boy has to go seek alms. Because in those days, after the Upanayanam, technically the boy has to go and do Vedadhyanam. Vedam was prominent, so the boy would go. And every day he has to live upon the cooked rice which is put to the boy. Remember, I told you the day before yesterday. A brahmachari cannot do Agni Karyam. He cannot cook in those days. So, cooked rice will go to a brahmachari. But today, to commemorate, because the boy is coming for a 1-week vacation to India, now where will he go taking Bhiksha? So, in that same hall, group of people will be standing and then Bhiksha has to be given to that boy. So, raw rice is given to that boy. Who gives that raw rice? Mother. Because the mother is the most important person in a child's life, be it the daughter or the son. Shastram tells. Father is okay. Now, if the child refuses to listen to the father, Shastram is not very punishing to that boy. It says, okay, you not listen to your father, it is okay. When I have not listened, it's okay. Whereas mother is very important. Mother is extremely important. Mata putrasya bhuyamsi karmanyava rabhate. Towards a son or daughter, the mother has more rights, is what Shastram tells. That is why in Tamil Nadu, we all used to listen to Amma. Now, who is the mother? Aditi Devi has to give Bhiksha to the boy. But she doesn't give. Who gives? Uma, Parvati comes and gives Bhiksha to Vamana. You know why she got the name Uma? Because she was performing intense austerities to marry Shiva. Looking at the way she was performing penance, she was becoming thinner by the day. So the mother stopped her. Manorama was the name of the mother. Mena Manorama. So she said, Parvati, what are you doing? Don't go. Don't. Don't is Uma. Don't. So that became her name. Uma. Umam Haimavatim. No. Uma gave the Bhiksha to Vamana and the Lord was given a small Chatram. He was given one Kamandalu. And then Indra said, Indra's younger brother is Vamana, right? Upendraha Vamanah Pramshuhu. So he said, now you go and take Bhiksha for me to Bali. So the Lord went. In Bali's Yagyavatika, Bali was a very good administrator. It was not easy to win over Bali. So that is why the Dashakam begins, Shukrena Jivita Tanuhu. He was extremely devoted to his Guru, Acharya. So the only way to bring a downfall to Bali and get back the seized property was to let him do Guru Apacharam. He has to speak against his teacher. That was the only way. So So the Lord went. That day, Bali was offering dhanam to whoever they asked. They all said, give me this, give me that. Bali gave. Finally, towards the end of this charity process, came one particular juncture where Bali heard. Bali heard only the audio, no video. He looked, where is this audio coming from? There was a little boy. Vamana. Vamana means the shortest dwarf. Dwarf is called Vamana. Alvar, the mystic poet, says, how short was the boy while at his birth itself? He says, Kottangai Vamana. He was so short that looking at the height of this newly born baby, the dwarfs in this world got together. Dwarf association came. And they looked at this boy and said, oh my goodness, he's so short. How will he get married? He was that short, it seems. The commentator says, வாமரர்கள் குழுவாய் சேர்ந்து இவனுக்கு கணாடம் பிடிப்பது என்ன யோசித்துவாம் இருக்கும் இத்திருமேனி. Such a short boy he was. Now short boy, small umbrella, mini kamandalu, he went. Then Bali sat. He said, what do you want, sir? I want 3 measures of land. Okay, fine. Get me that those documents, Vindhyavali of Tracy, Dublin. We'll give one. Vamana said, no, I don't want. I want to measure with my foot. Bali said, your foot is actually invisible. It is negligible. With this, what will you measure? Don't worry, I will measure. Okay, Vindhyavali, come. By the time this conversation was happening, Shukra comes. And he holds Bali's hand and he pulls Bali aside and says, Bali, I am going to tell a few things to you. Do not be startled. Do not turn that side and look at that boy. Wait. This boy who has come, Bali says, yes, this boy who has come is the one who technically tore open your grandfather's father, Hiranyakashipu's stomach. Is it Narasimha? Don't turn. Keep looking at me. Don't react. It is that Narasimha who has come as this little boy. Did he ask you for something? Yes, he asked for 3 measures of land. What did you say? I said, I will give. You should have thought, you should have consulted with me. Now, there is no delay, cause you can just go and tell him, I'll get back to you shortly. Sir, what is my name? Customer care. So, Tamikshanam Baligirim Upakarnya Karunya Purno. You tell him. That is when Bali said, see, if the Lord has chosen to seek alms at my doorstep, am I not fortunate? I will stick to my promise. I cannot follow what you have said. Vamana there, tick. He has gone against his teacher. That was his aim. Then only you can bring a downfall to him. So Bali came. And Bali said, Vindhyavali, pour water from the Kamandalu. She poured. Water was not coming. This year you had good rains. 2 years back, water was not coming. So immediately Vamana said, Bali said, call the plumber. Plumber ko bulao. Water is not coming, he'll fix the pipe. Bali said, why do you need the plumber? I've got a toolkit. He took darbha grass and inserted into that entry from where the water has to come. In fact, it was blocked by a bee in which the Dharma Bhuta Jnanam of Shukracharya was operating. Through Mantra Shakti had come. So one of the eyes went to the bee. So thereby Shukracharya lost his eye. Shukkiran Kandai Aruttane Acho. That day he applied in Shankar Netralaya. He has not yet got his eye back, Shukra. Keshava Katakshaika Netram, says Muthuswami Dikshita. Now the water started flowing. Then Bali said, how much ever you want to measure 3 foot, do it. By the time he turned and gave the Kamandalu, he saw some shadow falling on him. Why is the shadow falling? This boy was growing. So he started growing and he grew and further. All our acharyas say he kept on growing without his dhoti tearing. Because as the Lord grows, his possessions also grow. So as he kept growing, all our acharyas say how he grew. This is where my hero comes, Vedanta Deshika. He says how the Lord grew. At one point he says, Vikrantu Ketu Patika. Bhakta Priyatvai Tatha Parivardhamane Mukta Vitana Vitatistava Purvamasit Haravali Paramatho Rashana Kalapaha Tara Ganastadanu Mauktikanu Purashrihi. See, a normal person like me, I'll keep telling he grew and grew. A poet can't keep giving these sounds, right? He kept growing. That's not the way a poet works. Vedanta Deshika says, how did he grow? When the Lord began, the constellation of stars were like a canopy. As he kept growing, they became his necklace. As he grew further, it became its girdle. And as he finished his growing process, it became its anklet. So the stars are where they are. They are constants. He is the variable. Technical question. It fit as the necklace. Then it fit as his girdle. Not possible. What fits as a necklace cannot fit as a girdle. How, sir? Because you need 5-6 necklaces you have to attach and then it will become one girdle. Correct? But Samudrika Lakshana Shastram says for the man and the woman, what fits as a necklace should fit as a girdle because the hip should be that thin. That is why I have covered. உங்களுக்கு அப்படி இல்லையே இல்ல Vikranti Ketu Patika Padavahini Te. Then Brahma, he saw the foot because the Lord raised one of its feet. One foot was going top. So Brahma held the petal of his lotus and saw, what new foot is coming towards my house? There he saw Shankha Chakra Panchayuda Mudra in the feet. Oh, it is my father. Saraswati, idhar aao. ससुर जी आ रहे हैं मामन अर्दन है ससुर जी ससुर जी आ रहे हैं So she said, what will I do? You do something. So he took Ganges, Ganga in his Kamandalam and did Aradharam to the Lord. Now after this Abhisheka Toyaihi was over, Andal falls in love with this Vamana. She loves. Why? Because when the Lord grew, he is said to have just touched the upper worlds. It doesn't mean he measured. Generally in these books they'll say measured. Measured means did he use vernier calipers? What did he measure? Measure means he has just said that belongs to me. See, I don't know how many of you have seen. When great acharyas come to a sthalam, Purna Kumbham is given. Have you heard of this Purna Kumbham? So the Kumbham is kept and then the priest will go outside and he will give proper respects to the incoming acharya and say, please come. There will be a recitation of one Veda Panchadi and then they will bring him. It should be given to people, just not acharyas, people who know the meaning of why it is given. If a person doesn't know why Purna Kumbham is given and you're giving it to him, he will take that Purna Kumbham. So you have to just touch. So the person whom we are respecting, the person has to just honor our respects by touching the Purna Kumbham. Just touching is enough, which means I have accepted the obeisances and respects you have paid to me. You know, in Sundarakandam, when Hanuman flies, he comes across this mountain called Mainakam. Mainakam is a good mountain. It says, I have built a nice resort, 4 days, 3 nights, 9 only, come. Hanuman says, see, I am on a vision to see Sita. I cannot take intermittent breaks like this. So I will embrace you. He embraced and said, see, my embrace is akin to staying in your house for many weeks. So you have to touch. So the Lord touched the upper worlds, which means he has literally owned it. The next foot fell on the earth. Now you may ask, did it hit the cloud, stratosphere, ionosphere? It is Vedantic in meaning, which means he owns this world. Over 2 measurements over. Then the Lord asked, where is the third measure? What did Bali do? Bali put his head. While the Lord measured the world, earth, where was Bali? Earth. He didn't keep Bali out for some time in Mars and said, I will measure the earth. Now let me put back Bali. When he measured the earth, Bali was part of it. So while the Lord measured the earth, Bali was a part of that measurement. Then how could he offer his head? Sir, he offered, you leave, sir. No. Bali's concept there is very important. Bali is like the yesterday's son-in-law. Current day son-in-law is good. 100 years back, parents used to fear the incoming son-in-law. Jamata dashamograha. He used to be like the 10th graha. He will trouble more than the 9 grahas. There used to be a hue and cry in the house if he comes. And some of them, not, you're all good. You're all good. Bay Area sons-in-law are extremely good. I'm talking about other sons-in-law. When they come, they will ask for, demand this and that. And we were in an age when we didn't have that technology. So technically, if we have to invite a person for a marriage, they used to go to that house, give the invitation with flowers and all of that. And every house you have to go and invite personally. Can't even imagine today. We create a WhatsApp group. RSVP. Do you do that? How much? What will you eat? How much will you eat? Will you eat? Questions. Right, food based. Right. So, if you go to a house and there are about 10 members in the family, inclusive of the son-in-law, and the person invites, please, I've got my daughter's marriage, all of you. Sakutumba Sametara. Have you read the invitation? One dark pink and dark yellow. You have read that invitation? Oh, beautiful colors they are. Shrimad Vedamarga Pratishthapanacharyarai Shanta Shamadamadi Asankheya Kalyana Gudangal Sampurnarai Irukkakoodiya Swamiyin Sannidhil Adiyen Thalum Tadakkayum Kuppichayum Vijnapanam Ubhaya Kushalopari Kshemam. First line. The first line you see in that invitation. Valayappettai Ramachariyin Dauhitranum. Ayyambettai, Rajagopala Ayyangarin Pautranum. Adiyenuடைய கனிஷ்ட குமாரனுமான அபர்யாப்தாமிருதன் என்கின்ற நிதினுக்கு we will know only that Nitin, this அபர்யாப்தாமிருதா we won't know. இந்த பக்கம் வச்சுங்கோ. இன்னாருடைய பௌத்ரியும் இன்னாருடைய தௌஹித்ரியும் அப்பித்த குச்சாம்பாள் என்கின்ற நிஷாவை பாணிகிரகணம் செய்து கொள்வதாய் சகுடும்ப சமேதராய். All this we'll put. Now the people will come and invite that family. Sir, please come. All of you come. After that person who's invited has left, people will be discussing, we'll go to that marriage. That son-in-law alone will say, why should I come? Sir, he has invited all of us. He has invited. Did he invite me personally? So, he feels that he is not a part of all of you come. You have to give 9 people, you have to invite all of you come. Then where is that son-in-law? Sir, you also come. Bali was like that. When the Lord measured the world, he has measured the world as he won over me. That arrogance is what the Lord pushed in the third step. Andal was in love with this Lord. She says, this is that incarnation that shows no disparity. See, in Krishna Avataram, he loved the Pandavas. He didn't like the Kauravas that much. Whereas in Vamana Avataram, Trivikrama Avataram, he didn't segregate based on geography. I love Nanganallur. Malleshwaram, tumba ishta sir. Veena stores, ಪಕ್ಕ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಓಯ್ಯೋ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಸರ್. ಸೊ he did not selectively keep his foot. He kept his foot in such a way saying that the entire mass is mine. All these children, whether they believe in me or not, whether they follow Sanatana Dharma or not, they are mine. I won't segregate based on religion. Oh, you have followed this religion. Only if you come to this religion, you come. Whether you believe in me or not, whether you like me or not, you are mine. This is that avataram which gave ownership to the Lord of his possessions. That is why Andal, who is generally head over heels in love with Krishna, at 3 occasions she invokes Vamana. ஓங்கி உலகளந்த உத்தமன் பேர் படி, பாசுரம் 3. அம்பரமே தொன்னிரே ஷோரே அறம் செய்யும் எம்பெருமானந்த கோபால எழுந்திராய், கொம்பனார்க்கெல்லாம் கொழுந்தே குலவிளக்கே எம்பெருமாட்டி அசோதாய் அறிவுராய், அம்பரம் ஊடு அறுத்து ஓங்கி உலகளந்த உம்பர்கோமானே உறங்காது எழுந்திராய். பாசுரம் 17. பாசுரம் 24. அன்று இவ்வுலகம் அளந்தாய் அடி போற்றி. So Trivikrama measured the worlds and pushed Bali. Now there are again various versions in Puranas, even to Patalam, below the crust, all of that. What it essentially means is, however close you are to the Lord, good administrator, arrogance will always have to go a foot deep. Then there is one Drishyam where Parikshit asks, Draunyasya viplushtamidam madangam. He says, Shuka Brahmam, day 1, 7:50 p.m. I asked a question. Tell me about that man who went around me while I was housed in my mother's womb as a fetus and protected me. I asked you, tell me about him. You spoke about creation of this world. Matsya-avataram, I'm not done, I'll do tomorrow. Kurma-avataram, Varaha-avataram, Nrisimha-avataram, Vamana-avataram, Daksha, Prutu-charitram, Daksha Yagyam, Vevena-charitram, Dhruva-charitram, Ajamilopakyanam. You said all this. Please come back to the point. Why did Shuka Brahmam not tell about Krishna at the start? Because, I don't know, again I'll give you a very, very Indic example. People who had many children in those days, they will be worried about the marriage of their children. Even after they would just be born. They will be worried. Parents were very worried. So they would start, they will live a very, very simple life. They will save every pipe. And they would, start accumulating jewelry for the daughter or the incoming daughter-in-law. Mostly the former, not the latter. Now, there was a tradition of making diamond studs. And around 1950s and 1950s and 60s, there was one mine in South Africa that used to give blue jacker diamonds. It was very famous, blue jacker. And then they would accumulate, and then they would call the goldsmith home. They will not buy. He has to come and do it. And then this beautiful blue jacker diamond studs would be kept in a box. That box would be kept inside the now not more anymore existing Babu jewelry purse. And that purse will be kept in the side locker of the main locker within the bureau. You've seen? You're able to understand? If your children don't understand, you have to go and explain. So in the bureau, there'll be a locker. In that locker, there'll be a side locker. Inside that, there'll be a purse. Inside that purse will be a box. Inside that box, blue jacket, diamond. Now this bureau will be inside one room. And that room's door will be locked. And that house door will be locked. Now if somebody has to fetch those diamond studs, He has to break the outer lock, the lock to the room, open the bureau, open the locker, open the side locker, open the purse, open the box, and get the blue jacket diamond. So that blue jacket diamond is so precious, matchless, no equal, unparalleled and unsurpassed, that it needs so many layers of protection. Krishna Avataram is like blue jacket diamond, Dashamaskandam. So it is put over the Navamaskandam, Ashtamaskandam, Saptamaskandam, Shashtyaskandam, Panchamaskandam. These are all like the doors. So the diamond is Krishna Avataram. So Shuka Brahma didn't want to expose the diamonds at the start. So he gives layers and layers and layers, like the hazelnut within a Ferrero Rocher, over layers, he takes it. Vande Vrindavanacharam Vallavi Janavallabham. Now begins Sri Krishna Avataram. The most desired, undoubtedly, in whatever little I've studied under my acharyas as Shastram, undoubtedly the avataram that has received the maximum attention by all acharyas. No other deity, no other avataram, no other narration has received this much of attention. Aikakanthaihi, all acharyas, if they are boring, they'll start singing about Krishna. Rama is there. Rama comes very close in that competition. He is like, children who miss that 100 in that exam. Silly marks, they will lose 1 mark. Rama is like that. Krishna, he'll answer an extra question and get 101. The teacher will be confused. How he got that 101? Because he has answered one extra question. So Krishna Avataram, any acharya, every language has celebrated Krishna Avataram. Begin from Kashmiri, go till Shankar Deva in Assam, go till Narsingh Mehta in Gujarati, go till Edutachan, go till Iriyaman Thambi of Malayalam, let us go till Alvars. Oh my goodness, if you get into Krishna Avataram, we as speakers, we will be left for the huge choice that we have, what to select and what not. Generally people say, why didn't you sing this composition? How can I do justice? Sadashiva Brahmendra, one of the prolific writers and a great philosopher. To him, in Advaita philosophy, there are 2 Brahmams. Visishta Advaita doesn't concur with that aspect of Advaita. There are 2 levels, Sagunam and Nirgunam. In Advaita, there is this concept. And in Saguna Brahmopasana, you see the Lord with forms. And Nirgunam is beyond that. You don't check on the attributes. You go beyond that. You go beyond the form. You go to the formless, is what Advaita states. Sadashiva Brahmendra was a great proponent. One day, one reporter went and interviewed him. Sadashiva Brahmendra, who was the Arnab Goswami. And incidentally, he let Sadashiva Brahmendra speak. So there was a recorder with him. Generally, reporters will carry one recording button. Even in primary market research, you use. So he took this recording button. He asked various questions. The US wants to know, nation wants to know. Then that time he asked Sadashiva Brahmendra, Brahmendra, you keep talking about Sarvam Brahmamayam. Re, re, Sarvam Brahmamayam. You keep talking about the entire world, which is Brahman. Do you like anybody in particular? No. Brahmendra said no. I'm asking you again, Mr. Brahmendra. Do you love anybody in particular? He said no. He will not leave. Do you love someone? He said, I will tell. Pause your recording button. He paused. Whom do you love? See, I am talking about Nirguna Brahma. But every time I want to meditate on this Nirguna Brahman, one flash keeps coming in front of my eye. What flash? Arnab asks, or no. Then he says, I see one boy whose hue is like as resplendent as a sapphire rock is cut. That blue hue on his face. With mischievous look in the corner of his eyes. A smile that gives him a beautiful dimple. black hair tresses that are effervescent, shining and curly in nature. To hold them tight is one beautiful string of white pearls just gotten from the sea, and with a multicolored peacock feather that is strung to his tresses. Tell me again, Arnab asks. मदशिखि पिञ्च अलङ्कृत चिकुरे महनीयक पोल विजित मुकुरे मानस संचर रे ब्रह्मणि मानस संचर रे. I'm in love with that Krishna. Madhusudana Saraswati, great Advaita scholar, Eva Advaita Siddhi, he says, Krishnat param tattvam aham na jane. I do not know, call me ignorant, I do not know of anything greater than Krishna. Krishnat param tattvam aham na jane. I spoke about Arunagirinatha, great Tamil poet, a devotee of Kartikeya. First Tirupugal is enough to establish what a great Tamil poet he was. Muttai tarubatti tirunagayatti kirishakti charavana mutti kuruvittu kurubarayana vodum mukkat paramarku churudin murpattadu karpittiruvaru muppattu muvarkat tamararum adipena பத்து தல ஒத்த கணைதொடு ஒற்றைக்கிரை மத்தை பொருதொரு பட்ட படவட்டத்திகிரில் இரவாக பத்தற்கிரதத்தை கடவிய பச்சை புயல் மெச்சு தகு பொருள் பட்சத்தொடு ரட்சித்தருள்வதும் ஒரு நாளே. பத்தர்க்கு இரதத்தை, பத்தர் is பார்த்த, பத்தர் in Tamil is பார்த்த, பத்தர்க்கு பார்த்தர்க்கு இரதத்தை, இரதம் is ரதம், கடவிய பச்சை புயல் மெச்சு தகு பொருள். He is that பச்சை புயல். You have heard of this joke? வாமா மின்னல். This is பச்சை புயல். That is மின்னல், this is புயல். பச்சை புயல் மெச்சு தகு பொருள் பக்ஷத்தொடு ரட்சித்தருள்வதும் ஒரு நாளே. So even Arunagirinatha who is singing about Kartikeya, this Krishna somewhere sneaks in the first. பட்டப்பட வட்ட திகிரியில் இரவாக ஜெயத்ரதவதம் is mentioned in the first Tirupugal. See, people of I don't have to talk about Shankara. Shankara falls in love. Bhagavad Gita Kinchit Adhita Ganga Jalalava Kanika Pita Bhagavad Gita. Geetam in Carnatic music. How many of you are learning music? There is one portion called Geetam. How does it begin? Lambodara Lakumikara. You have heard of this Lakumikara? So Geetam is technically that phase in Sangeetam, Shastriya Sangeetam, where the child understands how music is. Because till then the elementary portions are just Swaram. Sari gama pada ni sa sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa sa sari sari, then Tatu varisai male side. Then first time music is introduced to Geetam. Geetam means music, song. Krishna was a wonderful singer. Rama wasn't. See, Rama was very shy. Some people are very shy to sing in public and in private. Both. See, if appreciating music has to be innate. You cannot teach someone appreciate music. You can teach music, but you cannot teach the art of appreciating music. See, people who appreciate music, they'll be on a high. They will say, oh, this is Kalyani, Kalyani, Kalyani. For him, everything is the same. Vathela, Kalyani, for him, everything is Sari, Gama. This is Renda, the Ria Pudicha, Yenda Ria Pudicha. And that too, when we will all have wonderful musicians here, you invite great Vidwans, Vidushis here, and in that concert they will have one Neraval. Have you heard of Neraval? Telugu variki Neraval telisa? Telileda? No, I'll try. They will take one nice kriti. One line, if they have to keep stressing about the beauty of that ragam, they will hover around like a bee that goes around the flower. They will go around that line. Don't send this recording to any musician. My pair, repair. Uh, రోమాంచమనే ఘన కంచుకము రామభక్తుడను ముద్రబిళ్ళయు రామనామమనే వర ఖడ్గమివి రామనామమనే వర ఖడ్గమివి రామనామమనే రామనామమనే వర ఖడ్గమివి రామనామమనే వర ఖడ్గమివి రామనామ నామమనే వర ఖడ్గమివి రామనామమనే వర ఖడ్గమివి రామనామమనే రామనామ mane. Person who doesn't know music, he has forgotten the next line. రామనామమనే వర ఖడ్గమివి రాజిల్లునై. He has now managed to remember. Now, appreciating music is an art. You cannot teach this to someone. So, if you look at the song sung by Krishna, Rama was against music, whereas Krishna was, he sang. What was his song? Bhagavat Gita. The song. Bhagavad Gita Kinchit Adhita. Shankara says, Ramanuja. He says, I can see the scar of the rope that was tied around his hip in Ranganatha, now in Srirangam. He was able to see. Damodara Bandham Drishya. Oh, all our acharyas, the way they fall in love with Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Cheto darpanamarjanam bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam shreya kairava chandrika vidaranam vidyavadhu jeevanam. Chaitanya, Madhvacharya, Raghavendra Tirtha, Vedanta Deshika, Manavala Mamunigal, oh, the list is endless. So this avataram, what we are going to witness, is that one favorite of all acharyas. Vedanta Deshika celebrates Vande Vrindavanacharam Vallavi Janavallabham Jayanti Sambhavandham Vaijayanti Vibhushanam. I give my salutations to Vande Vrindavanacharam, the one who has walked on the forest infested with Vrinda thorns. Sir, Vrindavana means Vrinda, which is Tulsi. We make tea also out of it. You're telling thorns. See, in Sanskritam, Shabdakosham says, Amarakosham says, Vrinda means a thorn. There is one special thorn called Vrinda. So this place was less habited by people. They were originally, their original location was Gokulam. Because they spotted some inauspicious omens in this place, they shifted en masse to this place, infested with thorns. It was Vrindavanam. But east of India has a unique habit, because Bengali, which is a primary language, doesn't have va. There is no va in Bengali language. That is why va becomes ba. Every place where you have va, it will become ba. Chakraborty, Vidya. So Vrindavanam became Brindavanam. But Brinda means Tulasi. So they said Tulasi. But it won't fit the bill, because imagine there is full forest of Tulasi. How will Krishna walk on it? You can't walk on Tulasi. Of course, after Krishna went there, Tulasi came. That is different. But originally it was filled with thorns. Mandam mandam madhurananadair veduma purayantam vrindam vrindavanu bhuvigavam charayantam charantam chando bhage shatamakham makhadvamsina danavanam hantaram tam kathayarasane gopakanya bhujangam, says Leela Shuka and Krishna Karnamritam. How, as Krishna walked with his lotus lily-like feet, he turned the sharp edges of the thorns into grass. As you keep walking, it becomes grass. he says, that is why one of the poets in the 17th century, he says, I do not wish to have another birth. I want moksham. But given the karma that I have, if at all the Lord you choose to give me another birth, please give me as the grass in Vrindavanam. Pullai piravi taravendum kanna punitamana palakoti piravi tandalum Vrindavanamidiloru pullai vande Vrindavanacharam. I salute the one who has walked in Vrindavanam. Vallavi Janavallabham, the one who is dear to the Vallavi Janas. Jayanti Sambhavandhama, the one who was born on Jayanti. Who's Jayanti? The one who supplies vadam in my house. That mommy is called Jayanti mommy. Who is Jayanti mommy? Jayanti, no sir, we are doing for everybody when Jayanti, Ambedkar Jayanti, Vaiko Jayanti. Who is Jayanti? Jayanti in Jyotishya Shastra means when the Ashtami Tithi of the waning phase of the moon called Krishna Paksham combines in the Avani month with the Rohini star. Then that combination, that time when that Rohini star should be there, Ashtami Tithi should be there, Krishna Ashtami should be there, then that moment in Jyotishya Shastram is called Jayanti. Jayanti doesn't mean birthday. It should, all these should be there. If it is not Avani month or some other month, it can't be Jayanti. So, Jayanti Sambhavandhama Vaijayanti Vibhushanam, the one who was born on Jayanti and who sports Vaijayanti. Now, because of Bhubharam, lot of people drilling holes for buildings, for borewell, lot of mining projects happening. Bhuma Devi had severe headache. How much we trouble Mother Earth? She is called Sakshat Kshamam. You know what is the name of Bhumi? The other name is Patience. Her name is Miss Patience. Sakshat Kshama, but we trouble her. We extract oil. For that oil we'll fight. Extract water. All metals, all elements we know come from earth. We extract her, trouble her. Bhumi Devi has to be patient. One day she has little migraine and she shakes her head, turkey. See? One shake she does, we can't stand. All our paintings, they will fall. So this Bhuma Devi, one day she went and sought refuge in Brahma. Bhumi Gaur Bhutva Ashrumukhi Khinna Krandanti Karunam Vibhoho Upasthitantike Tasmai Vyasanam Swamavocchata. I am extremely troubled, Brahmaji. Kuch kijiye. Brahma knows Hindi. Kuch kijiye. He is in Pushkar, Rajasthan. Dal bati churma. So he said, क्या करना है भूमि अब बोलो. So she said, you have to do something, Brahma ji. Brahma said, see, I know one thing. Who can help us? We'll go to Vaikuntham. And they went to Karya Vaikuntham. See, this Vaikuntham is very important. When I deal on the 7th day, I'll tell you. There are two Vaikuntams, 1.0, 2.0. Vaikuntham mentioned in the Upanishads and Vedam, Tat Vishnoho Paramam Padagum Sada Pashyanti Surayaha. That Vaikuntham, there is no return. You cannot go there and come back. I will go there, sir. If all facilities are good, I will stay. Else, I am coming back to Tracy. You can't do that. There is only one way. Nasa punaravartate, nasa punaravartate. If you go there, there is no coming back. That is Paramapadam. That is what is denoted by Subala Upanishad. The other Vaikuntham is Karya Vaikuntham. You can go there and come back. Like how Sanaka Sanandanas do. They'll go, come back. Like that. So Bhumi Devi went. And Purusham Purusha Suktena Upatasthe Samahitaha. Through Purusha Sukta, they woke up the Lord. And the Lord said, why have you come? What brought you here? That is when they said, see, lot of problems for Mother Earth. She is having extreme migraine because of demoniac forces. The Lord said, don't worry. It is high time that I am born. I will be born. As he said, there is one verse which says, Anavalyam Ambasya Pare Varadaya Namastubhyam Bahyantara Havirbhuje is a Upanishad Vakyam. He says, Vame Bhago. The left side of the cow started showing some movements, because in Shakuna Shastram we say for the woman, if the left hand side wings, eye, body, it is a Shubha Shakunam. And right hand side for the man, if it shivers, it is good Shakunam for the man. Vice versa for both is wrong. You check. Now, then that is when the Lord said, don't worry, Abhayam Sarva Bhutebhyah. He did this. In India, now it is under danger. So, Abhayam Sarvabhute Prasphurantam Priyasyeva Parirambabhilashinam Dakshinaditaram Bahum Dakshina Bhakvamanyata. The Lord said, don't worry. Bhattadri says this in his own way. Sandrananda Tanohare Nanupura Daiva Sure Sangare Tvatkritta Api Karmashesha Vashato Yetena Yata Gatim Tesham Bhutala Janmanam Didi Bhuvam Bharena Durardita Bhumi Prapa Virinchamashrita Padam Daivaif Puraiva Gataihi. The Lord said, don't worry, I will be born. Now to whom? He has to choose. The Lord, that is the difference between our birth and his birth. We can't choose whether we like her or not, she is the mother. Whether we like him or not, he is the father. Whether they like us or not, we are the child. We have to accept life as is. Whether the Lord chooses, Pitaram Rochayamasa, he will choose. Now he has to choose. Whom will he choose? That is when we have to go to Mathura. What will we get there? Peda. So let's go to Mathura. In North there are two things, Peda and Petha. You know? You get? Petha in Patel. You get? Petha is made from pumpkin. Peda is made from milk. Try both. Now, in Mathura, there was this king called Shurasena. He had many children. Of them, he got a few of them daughters married to one man. Sir, what is this? Just like that you're telling. This king was called Anaka Dundubi. His name was Anaka Dundubi. Why? Because while he was born, the parents could listen to the music of the kettle drums, Anaka and Dundubi. Why did they play kettle drums during this boy's birth? Because the rishis knew that this man shall father the Lord later. So he was called Anaka Dundubi. For another reason, he was called Vasudeva. Vasudeva was given in marriage to the daughters of Shurasena. Then there was a daughter called Devaki. Devaki had a brother, loving brother, to her alone loving. Kamsa. Now this Kamsa was extremely torturous to the other people. Big eyesore. You can't see him, you can't live with him. Distant relative of Durvasa. Pati Pragrahinam Kamsa. Now this Kamsa, he had lot of affection to his sister Devaki. Devaki was married to Anaka Dundubi. And they were kept in the chariot and they were taken around the city. This is still a custom in many marriages. Used to be an important custom in the yesterday marriages. Prior to the marriage day, the boy will be placed on a car, ambassador car with many roses. And the boy will be taken around the city. Why? Slowly the car will go. Why? Because in those days there was no chance of doing background check. Slowly, if the boy goes in the car, and if he's already married, secretly married to somebody else, that lady will come and say, hey, he's my husband. So, Mr. Kotish will be taken in the car, slowly. Now, Kamsa was riding the chariot. He said, for my sister, I will take her. And he took her in the chariot. The chariot was going and many ladies and men were carrying badam plate, pista plate, nagaswaram. All this mallari was happening. Slowly the chariot was going. Astyastvam ashtamo garbho he mudha. Full. Kamsa turned. He knew what his name was. Ashtamo garbho, the 8th child of whom you are carrying shall be the cause of your death. This is what was heard as an ethereal voice. I don't know if some mama would have spoken from the behind of the tree also. I don't know. Now, Kamsa till now he was celebrating and enjoying, elevating the relationship that he had with his sister. In 1 second, when he knew that she could be a potential reason for his death, he took the sword from his scabbard, pulled her by the hair, and was about to kill her, behead her, guillotine. Had I been in Vasudeva's place, let me imagine. You do whatever you want, and I would have come. I have many other wives. I'll manage. But what did Vasudeva do? So he said, Vrajam stishtan padaikena yathaivaikena gacchati yatha trinamalu dehi karma gatim gataha. Kamsa, wait. The one whom you're killing is your sister. You may be upset that the ethereal voice could turn true. But remember, Shariram is Anityam. Atma is Nityam. Atma will keep traveling. It will shed the material body and go Janma after Janma. But you can't escape death, Kamsa. The Lord from Vaikuntham thought, he should be my father. Because later Krishna will do the same thing in Kurukshetra Bhumi, right? Like son, like father. So he said, this man should be my father. Then Kamsa said, you seem to be a good man. I know about you. You take loans and you stay in your own country and pay it back. So you're a good man. You've got a good history. Fine. I'll leave. Now, Devaki and Vasudeva left, and Vasudeva said, if a child is born to us, I will come and give that child to you. You do whatever you want. He gave the first child. Kamsa said, honest man you are. I won't do anything to this child. You take back. Then Narada came. He said, sir, are you a fool? Huh? Now, with the happiness that the first child has survived, they'll produce more children. Maybe the 7th child may not grow to the height of the 8th child. So, you may not know what the order of children. So, he may say that the 8th child is the 7th child and the 7th the 8th. So, if they stand in a circle, which one will you know as the 8th child? Kamsa was very weak, arrears. So, he confused Kamsa. And Kamsa said, okay, I'll start killing one child. He killed. What did the Ashariri Vakyam say? Fool. He put both that man, Vasudha and Devaki, in the same jail, same cell. Why will they not keep producing? Huh? See, look at them. They were not depressed at all that they were in the jail. So, now 6 children were born and they were killed. Shadgunastena buddhya hata iti dharmasthana bhutoksharatma samagatasyapi maranamashankya pariharati vaishnavamiti vishnor vyapakasya sarvarakshakasya swarakshayam sandeho nastiti jnapitam saptamo dharmicha tadadhara bhutaha. This is the commentary that I have read from a commentary to Bhagavatam. There are many commentaries. There is a Sridhariya Vyakhyanam. There is one Vyakhyanam based on Visishtadvaita philosophy called as Veeraraghaviyam. There is one commentary based on Pushti Sampradayam. Have you heard of Pushti? Very good. Vallabhacharya Sampradayam is called Pushti. If you go to Nathdwar, Jai Srinath Ji ki, you have to raise your hands. Vallabhacharya, Adharam Madhuram. He wrote one commentary on Bhagavatam. It is called Subodhini. Beautiful Vyakhyanam. I read from that. He says why the 6 children were killed. There is one reason in the Puranam that they were sons of Kalanemi and so on. But here, the Lord is a repository of 6 attributes. Day 1, 640, I spoke about this. Bhagava, Jnana Bala, Aishwarya, Virya, Shakti, Tejas. So, 6 gunas are mentioned as 6 children. And he is the fulcrum, the confluence of all gunas. So he is mentioned as the one born as the 7th and 8th. Because 7th was a partial manifestation. There was an embryonic transfer from her to Rohini. Rohini is the other wife. staying. So Vasudeva had many wives. That is why I'm telling you, if you get into all this why, we won't know. She was staying in Gokulam. She delivered the child. He was extremely handsome. Ramayatiti Ramaha. But as soon as he was born itself, people could sense the power he had. Balaramaha. So this Balarama was extremely well built. Then Krishna was to be born. Now, eighth child. Now here we have how she was during that pregnancy stage. She was pregnant. 6 children she has lost. How depressed she'll be. 7th child, abortion. 8th child she's so upset. She should be technically upset. But how was her mood? Vedanta Deshika in a work called Yadavabhyudayam talks about it. He says, Shatahlada bandhuraya swakantya sanjati jambudana bimbakalpa trayanta yugmena rasayanena kalena bheje kaladhauta lakshmi. Generally, dark women who are dark complexion during pregnancy may seem a bit fair because the skin gets stretched and they also may turn pale, anemic. That's why they give iron tablets and folic acid. So, dark women during gestation may seem fair, but here the poet wonders, the fair Devaki has turned dark during gestation. Why? To which he says that the hue of the developing fetus is so dark that it has pervaded in the carrying mother's skin. Shatahlada. What is that? It's kaleidoscope. Huh? There will be a medley of colors, right? So there are so many colors in her. What are the colors? She is fair. Krishna is dark. Dark Krishna has Mahalakshmi on his chest, who is gold color. Hiranyavarnam Harinim. Gold color Mahalakshmi has feet in mehendi. Padalaksha Rasankam, red. So red feet Mahalakshmi with the gold hued body is seated in the chest of Krishna, who's dark hued, who is housed in Devaki, who is fair. So white plus black, white plus black plus gold plus red. She has turned silver. Shatahlada, says Vedanta Deshika. Now, how did he turn dark? See, generally, people will say, Pullaya, karuppa enna? Appa karuppu. So, if somebody is dark, we will attribute it to either mother, father, grandfather, grandmother. Somebody has to be dark because the child cannot get tanned in the first stage itself in Goa beach. So it has to be dark. Why is the Lord dark? Vedanta Deshika says, Lakshmi netrotpala shrihi satata parichaya desha sambadhyamanaha nabhi nali karinkan madhukara patali dattahasta valambaha asmakam sampadogan avirala tulasi dhama sanjata bhuma kalindi kantihari kalayatu vapushaha kalima kaitabharehe. How is he dark? Because the bees, the dark bees that hover around the lotus flower that has arisen out of the Lord's Nabhi, its reflection falls on the Lord and he has turned dark, or he is sporting Krishna Tulasi which has given him the darkness, or he is looking at his reflections into the waters of Kalindi which is Yamuna which is already dark, so the darkness has come on him, or looking at his beauty head to toe, Mahalakshmi, who assumed he will not be that good looking, is surprised at his beauty, so her already existing large eyes have enlarged further, so the collyrium that she has applied on her eyes has split into small packets in the air, and those have come through Schrodinger's equation and fallen on his body, and he has turned dark. So from Mahalakshmi's eye glances, he has turned dark. Lakshmi Netra Utpala Shrihi. Now, as Devaki walks within that cell is not like Parapana Agrahara, no facilities. So, normal cell. So, as she walks within that cell, she is able to feel as if she is flying. She is worried, some problem during my gestation. So she sits. And as she is about to recline, she feels that the floor is slippery. If I stand, I feel I'm flying. When I sleep, it is so slippery. Why? Seshe Shayanam Garude Nayantim. To serve the Paramatma, Garuda became the Vahanam, it seems. That is why she had the sense of flying. And Adisesha became the serpent couch. That is why the floor was slippery, says Vedanta Deshika. Seshe Shayanam Garude Nayantim Padme Nishannam Adhiratna Peetham. So as she was carrying the Lord, came the month of Avani, Krishnashtami. Krishna Megha Janitam Jani Tapaharam. The clouds had come and they had covered the entire premises. It was pouring cats and dogs. Kamsa was not able to sleep that night because from the day he had heard the ethereal voice, he knew that there is something very secretive happening about his death, about the end that he is going to meet. He was extremely worried. On the other hand, Vasudeva was worried because at least this child should survive. Devaki had the pain in her. It was pouring. Even if it was Ashtami Tithi, the rays of the moon could actually creep through the crevices in the clouds and fall on earth. Because of the thick rain-bearing clouds that had managed to cover even those thin rays, nectarine rays of the moon falling on earth. There was no scope for light coming at all. This was actually a cell where they were languishing inside a prison. So there was no scope for the light to come. It was pouring. Now, we are going to have Krishna Avatara Shlokam. It is called Avatara Rahasyam, Avatara Ghattam. Because Krishna Avataram we'll be talking tomorrow, the day after, all these days. But since it's Avatara Ghattam, the lights will be switched off. And you will all have your phones. You can switch on the light, torch in your phone. And as this is narrated, you can do Harati in your own phone to the Lord. So, I don't need light. It was this wonderful night when the celestials were awaiting an avatara that is going to give the quintessential knowledge of Vedanta as Brahma Sutras, as Bhagavad Gita. While this was a beautiful scene, it was pouring. Kamsa was unable to sleep. Acharyas are waiting for the avataram. That is when, in the mid of the night, while Yashoda also had pain because she is to deliver a girl child in a few minutes from now because Ashtami Tithi is just about to close. Navami Tithi is going to begin. When the Navami Tithi began, she delivered. The Ashtami Tithi is in the last stage of completion. That is when, while it was pouring outside, there was only darkness, came this light. And that light is Jagati Gitayandham Tamaha. Through Bhagavad Gita, he is going to give one of the works the world has never seen in philosophy. And this child was born. Tamadbhutam balakam ambujekshanam chaturbhujam shankhagadharyudharyudam Srivatsalakshmam gadashobhi kaustubam pitambaram sandrapayodi saubhagam Maharha vaidurya kirita kundalatvisha parishvakta Sahasra kuntalam Uddhama kanchi gadakankanadibhir virochamanam Vasudeva maikshata. Vasudeva was able to see in his eyes a beautiful form of the Lord with Chaturbhujam, with 4 hands, Shankham, Chakram, Gada, Padmam. And from his Nabhi was a beautiful lotus seated on which was Brahma. And this Drishyam was so beautiful, every word of Shuka Brahmam deserves a matchless stone, a precious stone for his description. This particular avataram, called Sri Krishna Avataram, which Devaki Jatare, what kind of bhagyam she must have done to sport the Lord in her. Of course, the Lord has to move to safety. But what are the ragas that propitiate? Natar Bhibhupala Bilahari Maya Malava Gaula Asaveri Saveri Shuddha Saveri Devagandhari Dhanyasi Begada Hindustani Kapi Todi Nata Kurinji Shri Raga Sahana Atana Sarangi Darbaru Pantu Varali Varali Kalyani Bhuri Kalyani Yamuna Kalyani Husheni Jhanjoti Kaumari Kannada Karahara Priya Kalahamsa Nada Nama Kriya ಮುಖಾರಿ ತೋಡಿ ಪುನ್ನಾಗವರಾಳಿ ಕಾಂಬೋದಿ ಭೈರವಿ ಯದುಕುಲ ಕಾಂಬೋದಿ ಆನಂದ ಭೈರವಿ ಶಂಕರಾಭರಣ ಮೋಹನ ರೇ ಗುಪ್ತಿ ಸೌರಾಷ್ಟ್ರೀ ನೀಲಾಂಬರಿ ಗುಣಕ್ರಿಯಾ ಮೇಘಗರ್ಜನಿ ಹಂಸಧ್ವನಿ ಶೋಕವರಾಳಿ ಮಧ್ಯಮಾವತಿ ಝಂಜುರುಟಿ ಸುರುಟಿ ದ್ವಿಜಾವಂತಿ ಮಲಯಾಂಬರಿ ಕಾಪಿ ಪರಶುಧನಾಸರಿ ದೇಶಿಕತೋಡಿ ಆಹಿರಿ ವಸಂತ ಗೌಳಿ ಸಂತು ಕೇದಾರ ಗೌಳ ಕನಕಾಂಗಿ ರತ್ನಾಂಗಿ ಗಾನಮೂರ್ತಿ ವನಸ್ಪತಿ ವಾಚಸ್ಪತಿ ದಾನವತಿ ಮಾನರೂಪಿ ಸೇನಾಪತಿ ಹನುಮತ್ತೋಡಿ ಧೇನುಕ ನಾಟಕ ಪ್ರಿಯ ಕೋಕಿಲ ಪ್ರಿಯ ರೂಪವತಿ ಗಾಯಕ ಪ್ರಿಯ ಬಕುಳಾಭರಣ ಚಕ್ರವಾಕ ಸೂರ್ಯಕಾಂತ ಹಾಟಕಾಂಬರಿ ಝಂಕಾರ ಧ್ವನಿ ನಟಭೈರವಿ ಗೀರ್ವಾಣಿ ಹರಿಕಾಂಬೋದಿ ಧೀರ ಶಂಕರಾಭರಣ ನಾಗಾನಂದಿನಿ ಯಾಗಪ್ರಿಯ ವಿಸೃಮರ ಸರಸ ಗಾನರಸೇತ್ಯಾದಿ ಸಂತತ ಸಂತನ್ಯಮಾನ ನಿತ್ಯೋತ್ಸವ ಪಕ್ಷೋತ್ಸವ ಮಾಸೋತ್ಸವ ಸಂವತ್ಸರೋತ್ಸವಾದಿ ವಿವಿಧೋತ್ಸವ ಕೃತಾನಂದ ಶ್ರೀಮತಾನಂದ ನಿಲಯವಾಸ ಶ್ರೀ ಶ್ರೀನಿವಾಸ ಸುಪ್ರಸನ್ನೋ ವಿಜಯತಾಂ. These are the ragas that propitiate the Lord. And there is a lot to describe in Sri Krishnavatara Jananam. This Avatara Shlokam has a deep explanation. But here we have one small bhajan and we'll conclude. You have to repeat. Sumarada madave Gurulam Periyal. ಗೋವಿಂದ ಗೋವಿಂದ ರಾಧಾ ಮುಕುಂದ ಗೋವಿಂದ ಗೋವಿಂದ ರಾಧಾ ಮುಕುಂದ ಮುರಳೀಧರಾನಂದ ಚಂದ್ರ ಮುರಳೀಧರಾನಂದ ಚಂದ್ರ ಮಧುಸೂದನ ಗೋಕುಲೇಂದ್ರ ಮಧುಸೂದನ ಗೋಕುಲೇಂದ್ರ ಕೋಲಾಹಲಾನಂದ ಬೃಂದಾವನಾನಂದ ಗೋಪೀಜನಾಂಬೋಧಿ ಚಂದ್ರ ಕೋಲಾಹಲಾನಂದ ಬೃಂದಾವನಾನಂದ ಗೋಪೀಜನಾಂಬೋಧಿ ಚಂದ್ರ ಗೋಪೀಜನಾಂಬೋಧಿ ಚಂದ್ರ ಗೋಪೀಜನಾಂಬೋಧಿ ಚಂದ್ರ. I've taken a lot of your time. 2 hours 42 minutes. 5 minutes short of Bahubali. But I will stick to my timings from tomorrow. So tomorrow we will have Sri Krishna Avataram completely. And we have Utsavams, Upanyasams on Saturday and Sunday. Saturday it will be in the morning, Sunday also in the morning. And many devotees have made Palpayasam today because in Kerala there's a Paddhati when Krishna is born, Palpayasam is given. All of you please do take Palpayasa Prasadam and leave. Kavitarkika Simhaya Kalyana Gunashalini Srimate Venkateshaya Vedanta Gurave Namaha Kalyana Rupaya Kalojananam Kalyana Dhatre Karuna Sudhapte Kamvadi Divya Yudha Satkaraya ವಾತಾಲಯಾಧೀಶ ನಮೋ ನಮಸ್ತೆ. ನಾರಾಯಣ 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 ನಾರಾಯಣ